Chapter 301 arrived at the empty island, Shira's attack. After passing the long river of clouds, the golden Melly rushed out of the huge hole. Pure white is still the main tone of the world, but with a different kind of scenery. In the sky is a high-hanging sun, shining brightly, with endless radiance and heat. There is an island in front of it, and buildings with red tiles and white walls are looming. There are also rows of Congo trees that look similar to coconut trees, with greenery. It's an empty island, Luffy yelled excitedly. Rubber rubber. Luffy grabbed the railing, backed up, and stretched his arms. With just a thud, he bounced off like a rubber band. Usopp also seized the opportunity and rushed to the Sky Island with him. Wow, this empty island is a soft cloud. Yeah Sky Island. Hey, where are the anchors to be dropped? There is no seabed here, asked Sauron. If you don't have it, then there's nothing. You can break down wherever you want. This beach is so soft and comfortable. Luffy, who is crazy, didn't care about anything. Anywhere. You guy, Zoro was speechless. I really can't stand them. I forgot even the basic vigilance. We are criminals. We don't know what we will encounter. Then he took off his clothes, jumped into the boat, and swam toward the empty island. Such a beautiful scenery, of course, hurry up and play. A lot of time, let's go together. You guys are not the same. Zoro complained. Wow, this place is amazing. There's an air of adventure everywhere. Luffy yelled, climbing up the Congo tree and plucking the pumpkin-like Congo. In one bite, he knocked out a tooth. What is this? It's so hard. A melodious piano sounded, echoing in the ethereal sky, like the sound of nature. Looking down the voice, a girl with wings on her back, her hair curled into snail tentacles, and her skin as white as a cloud was playing with a vertical congu. Hasso. My name is Conus, it's the Cloud Fox Susu. Conus introduced himself, and then taught Luffy how to eat Congo. Ah, your sight burns my heart. Sanji started to become Nympho. Get in the way. Nami pulled him by the ear and pulled him aside. There's a lot we want to know. In short, it's all incredible things for us here. Okay, please. Conus smiled. Ga Kwa, a strange bird call came from the air, and Conus' face suddenly changed. Looking at Nami and the others, there was also a faint fear in his eyes. Then she ran into the bushes quickly, without looking back, as if she was avoiding something. Hey wait, what's going on? Nami wanted to catch up, but Sanji suddenly stopped her. Namishin, be careful, someone is coming. What, man, where? Nami looked at Yunhai, but saw nothing. In the sky. Everyone looked up in the sky. Ga! Priest Shira rode cross-legged and swooped down from the air. You illegal immigrants, how dare you blaspheme the majesty of God, and all of you will be put to death. Let me, Priest Shira, come and give you God's judgment. There. Cross-legged flames suddenly spewed out, and the flaming flames were like the fiery dragon breath, with unbearable heat. Miss Nami, be careful. At the critical moment, Sanji pulled Nami away. At the same time, raise your legs and kick towards the rushing cross-legged. Cross-legged suddenly held on to the momentum, and directly raised the height, avoiding Sanji's corner. Wow, so handsome. Luffy looked at cross-legged with envy in his eyes. What the hell is that? Sanji looked at the burned island, surprised. Flamingo. Hey, who the hell are you? Why did you suddenly attack us? Nami, who had lingering fears, pointed at Shira angrily. Why attack you? Shira showed a sneer. You dare to blaspheme the majesty of God, of course you will be punished. I am the subordinate of God, one of the 4 priests, the Sky Knight, Shira. Come and judge you. Hey, he said we blasphemed the gods. Chef, shouldn't that god be a beautiful woman? You saw her getting better, so he said we blasphemed gods. Zoro said. What a joke. It must be your green algae head that looks sorry for the audience, scaring God. Sanji shot back. Hey, we don't even know what we did wrong. Blasphemy or something, how can we do such a thing? We are very religious. There must be something wrong. Suppressing the anger in his heart, he argued. I really can't do anything about you. I don't know what I've done wrong. I'll tell you, let you be a clear ghost. Shira's tone was faintly helpless. These intruders really have no idea at all. When you were at the gate of heaven, Amazon should have told you to pay the entry fee. Could it be that? That's right, if you don't pay the fee, you enter the country illegally. Violating the law of God is blasphemy against God. You must get the justice you deserve. Shira was murderous. Wow, Nami, it's all your fault. We're all doomed now. That God or something, he's a very scary guy. Usopp shouted with his head covered. Wait, can we communicate now? We don't have the currency called Ike at all. Can we use something else instead? Nami asked. I don't have Ike. Actually, Bailey can be used. 1 Bailey can be exchanged for 10,000 Ike. But it's too late. Illegal immigrants, the death penalty. Dedicate your life to God. Shira launched another attack and jumped down. How arrogant. If you want to fight, we will stay with you until the end, and you will definitely regret it. Zoro drew his sword and slashed at Shira. Boom. The fatal blow was easily blocked by Shira with his spear. ZZ. Zoro suddenly felt a hot breath, and the handle of the knife became hot. He hurriedly dodged back, his head tilted to avoid Shira's stab. The air around his ears became scorching hot, as if it had been scorched by flames. He found something wrong with the long gun. Besides, he felt like his body was being filled with lead, and it was heavy. Usually nothing, but once the battle begins, this feeling is very obvious. What happened? Why is the action so slow, and it is impossible to use strength at all? What did this guy do? Zoro took a few steps back and looked at Shira solemnly. You bastard, how dare you do something to Miss Nami? Sanji kicked from behind. Shira didn't turn his head, he turned slightly, just to avoid Sanji's kick. Then a roundhouse kick knocked Sanji to the ground. Too slow. Chapter 302 Sniper waiting for an opportunity. Sanji. Nami yelled in concern. Don't come here, Nami. Stay away, it's dangerous here. Sanji shouted. Dare to take action against my partner. I will never forgive you. I will knock you out. Luffy shouted and rushed. Eraser. Oh, can it be stretched? Interesting. Shira used the domineering look of knowledge to predict Luffy's movements. Bazooka. Eraser whip. Rubber gun. Eraser battle axe. Luffy came down with a series of attacks, panting, but Shira managed to dodge every time. He looked at Luffy playfully. What's the matter, is it that much? You want to shoot me like this? No kidding. Shira's spear swept across, and Luffy put his hands in front of his chest and was swept away. Wow, it's so hot, so hot. Luffy gasped at his hands, and at that moment of contact, a lot of heat came out from the rush. Damn, the body is so heavy. And what's going on with this guy? Why does it feel like he's seen through my actions? Luffy stared at Shira solemnly. Okay, so strong. Is this the power of a priest? It's so easy to suppress the 3 people. It's not good. That guy called a god, how terrifying it must be. Usopp shivering. Luffy, Zoro, Sanji. What's the matter with you? Fight hard. Don't lose. Nami cheered. Since the other party cannot communicate with words, they can only fight. Even if you can't win, just delay for a few days, wait until the recording pointer has stored the magnetic force, and then you can run away. But the scene in front of her made her heart cold. Just a priest has suppressed the 3 main combat powers of their pirate group. Priest, but there are 4. And there is an even more unfathomable god on it. Robin dragged his chin and thought, I see, it should be because this place is at an altitude of 10,000 meters, and the air is thin. So it's a little uncomfortable. Oh, that's it. We still lack time to adapt. Nami realized the reason for the low combat power of the 3. Okay, I understand. Luffy looked confident. The battle has just begun. So it is. Zoro and Sanji took a few breaths, and their eyes became different. Hey, how can you get used to it so quickly? This is not a problem that can be solved by knowing it. It's impossible, Nami complained. It can only be said that she is still too young. and the aptitude of monsters cannot be speculated with common sense. Luffy and the others have really gotten used to it. But even so, Shira is not an opponent that can be easily defeated. He has a domineering look, and he has a very big advantage when dealing with the Straw Hats. It doesn't matter what it is, just struggling to the death. This will only make you fall into more pain. Shira rushed towards Sanji. Rubber bullets. Ghost slash. First meet. Shira easily dodged their attack and stabbed Sanji with a single shot. Sanji dodged and retreated to the left, only to find a foot coming towards you. What? Boom. Sanji. Chicken cook. As I said, you are just struggling in vain. You can't beat me with the heart net. Even if there is no big tree here to give me a rope trial, I am still invincible. Shira pushed up the goggles with a proud look on his face. Huh. Lightning flashed, and a figure appeared on the mountain. Green hair fluttered in the wind. Milo has a very wide range of sights and sounds. He was originally a natural domineering owner of knowledge, and with 17 years of deliberate training and the substantial bonus of the Thunder Fruit, the range covered by his knowledge has reached a very terrifying level. Even when Angel Island was close to Gaia, I could hear every move of the people on Gaia Island from the Shrine of God, and even the conversation could be easily heard. But this is the power that can only be exerted after he consciously uses the knowledge and color with all his strength. Generally speaking, the range of passive hearing is not so broad. When he saw Luffy and the others rushing into the White Sea, he was a little curious to see if there were any unlucky ones who failed to ride the current and fell. So he launched his own domineering. Then I heard the battle between Enel and Tiki on Gaia Island. He had written down Enel's voice long ago, and he recognized it as the captain he had been waiting for. So he decisively abandoned Luffy and rushed to Gaia Island, watching from a distance. Boom boom boom. The fierce battle continued, the land shattered, the heavens and the earth trembled, the sea roared and the waves were rough. Intertwined darkness, colliding, tearing, devouring each other. Wordless fear hung over the pirates who had fled into the forest. Hey, heads up, that guy Enel is still the same. He has no skill at all in battle. But his opponent doesn't seem to be much better. Ha ha ha, is this the so-called chess match? Quote. Milo didn't rush to help directly, he thought that Enel was making an appointment with someone. It's a heads up, a fair fight. Although it doesn't quite fit the behavior pattern of Enel's wretched sneak attack, there may be exceptions occasionally. And it's been 17 years since I saw each other, so it's normal for Enel to change. Milo also sensed Oka and the others who were watching the battle on the other side. From the voice, it can be seen that they are not ordinary people, and they can also play a role in the Battle of Enel. He didn't know which side Oka and the others belonged to, but they didn't intervene in the battle, which was enough to show that this was a single duel, so Milo wasn't going to bother. Just stand silently and watch how things go. In fact, it's not that Basas and others don't want to help, but that Tich is not very proficient in mastering the darkness at this time, and it is easy to attack indiscriminately when he opens up. Oka, the sniper, didn't take the plunge. After watching the battle for a long time, he found that Enel's vitality is very tenacious, the recovery speed is also very fast, and the defense is very high. This makes his normal bullets useless. In order to deal with the capable ones, he prepared a few Halu stone bullets at any cost. He was always looking for opportunities to attempt to own hit kill. But although Enel and Tich have been at war for a long time, for people of their level, it is far from the limit. Enel has been guarding the direction of Oka and the others, intentionally or unintentionally. So Oka is still waiting. A good sniper requires patience. He was able to ambush his prey without moving for a week. Enel's physical strength is bound to decline over time. The spirit will also be exhausted and reveal flaws. At that time, it was the time for his Oka shot. Hasty action will only startle the snake. Chapter 303, The Law of God and the Rebel Army. Wow, that guy Shira is already here. Wow, not bad. Come on. While Shira and the Straw Hat Gang were fighting fiercely, a small head emerged from the sea of clouds. Herring blew bubbles and sat on a shark. The more intense the fight in front of her, the more joy she watched. Over time, Luffy and the others also entered a state of battle. Shira became more and more shocked. In the beginning, he was able to press the opponent to fight in a group, but now it is a bit difficult to deal with one. Cross-legged, he yelled, jumping on the back of the three-footed bird to retreat. Damn it, if it wasn't for the trial of ropes, you must look good. How could you just run away like this? Rubber rocket launcher, Luffy shouted, his hands stretched forward, but in the end he couldn't catch up with the rising cross-legged. Seeing that Shira was about to flee, Robin put his hands in a cross on his chest. Spin the flower. What the hell? Shira's body grew many wings, twisting his joints. The cross-legged wings were also twisted, and fell weakly into the bye-bye sea. Ah, Shira was killed. Although that guy looks a little uncomfortable, let's take it back. You, go and bring him back. Herring pointed at an empty shark. The shark swallowed Shira obediently, but it just kept them in its mouth and didn't swallow it. Ah, it was eaten. Usopp said when he saw this scene, the empty island is really scary. Konus did not go far, but hid in the bushes to watch their battle. Her kindness prevented her from walking away, and she finally decided to tell the Straw Hats some information about Sky Island. You actually defeated the priest. If you don't want to die, you'd better get out of here and run far away, or you will be killed by the gods. Miss Konus, you're still here. I'm in love and can't help myself. Sanji continued to be maddened. Do you know anything about that guy called God? Nami asked. Konus stared at Nami and said, if you are still thinking about fighting against God, come with me. I don't know much about God, but on this island, there are such a group of people who have always been. They are all trying to bring down the gods. Quote. The Straw Hats followed Konus and walked towards the other side of Angel Island. Ah, it seems that something interesting will happen again. Go and tell Huo. Herring sat on the empty shark and swam towards Appayado. Under the leadership of Konus, the Straw Hat Pirates found an organization that rebelled against God and came to their base. A coalition of the gods of the previous generation, Gang Cole, and the remnants of the God Guard and the remnants of the Shandians. They also learned something about God from Gang Cole's mouth. 17 years ago, with the participation of Anil, the Shandians recaptured Appayado, and the Divine Guard retreated to Angel Island with heavy casualties. In the following time, they kept fighting and fighting, blood stained the Yunhee River, and the corpses piled up into mountains. However, just as they were fighting endlessly, the appearance of a man ended their battle. With unrivaled overwhelming force, he drove both sides out and occupied Appajador. Whether it was the Shandians or the Divine Guard, they were all knocked down in an instant. A lot of people died, and a few who were tenacious survived. That mighty power like the might of heaven made them fall into despair. Endless thunder, falling like raindrops. Without even seeing the appearance of God, they fell into desperation. However, they still did not stop resisting. God not only occupied Appayado, but also let the priests issue divine similes and included Angel Island into his rule. Everywhere, the law of God was practiced, and the people of the sky fell into a reign of terror. Gangko led his escort, united with the Shandians, and lived together on a reef far away from Appayado. In the face of a common enemy, the two feuding ethnic groups also temporarily gave up their hatred. Ah, it's so nasty. That guy called God actually issued such an excessive law. It's inhuman. Nami looked at the law of God that Ginker gave her, very resentful. There is only one punishment in the law, the death penalty. Whether it is stealing, murder, robbery, illegal entry, as long as the perpetrator is sentenced to death. Is there something wrong with that God? So harsh. A serial perpetrator is also a death sentence. Nami suddenly exclaimed, then Konus, you. Well, after I was in contact with you and was discovered by the priest, I have already been regarded as a criminal. I can no longer return to Angel Island. Otherwise, I will be killed. Konus clenched his fists, his body trembling. Jew, Susu seemed to feel the fear of her master, and rubbed her chest, as if to comfort her. "Don't worry, it's safe here, even gods can't find it," said Gunker. It's too much." Nami clenched her fists. "What a goddamn god all, just blow it away." Luffy roared with a gloomy face. "After finally coming to the Sky Island, he dared to attack my partner, making my mood so bad. I will never let him go." Originally it was a resistance organization, but there were not many people who really dared to challenge Milo. Their morale was low for a while, more like a flock of shivering ostriches. But after Luffy's troubles and Waipa's endorsement, a coalition of Straw Hat Pirates, Shandians, and Genshin's guards marched towards Appayado in such a mighty manner. Their belief is to overthrow the gods, liberate the Sky Island, and divide the land. Luhuo looked at the unconscious Shira and threw him to the mechanical soldier. Then he looked at Herring and asked, "What's going on with this guy Shira? Where did you guys go just now? I thought you eloped with him." Ba Junk-hyur, you have to believe that I love you." Herring looked at Luhuo with sincere eyes, and her big eyes were filled with water. "I wouldn't find that big guy when I eloped. I went to the theater, and Shira was killed by illegal immigrants from Qinghai." Herring glanced at Shira, full of contempt. In the beginning, he clearly had the upper hand, but because he talked too much, he was counterkilled by his opponent. "Oh Qinghai people," Luhuo took a hammer and walked towards the proverb. Huo, aren't you going to deal with them? They seem to have gone with the resistance group." What's the solution? Do you really take Milo's idiot's law seriously? He probably doesn't even remember it. In the past, it would be executed. It was those 3 idle idiots who liked to kill and often run out to play talking to himself. The people of Sandia have always been within Milo's heart, and he doesn't care about it. Let those idle idiots play. I have to repair the ship. Fire pouted. "How bad is it to fight and kill? Let's repair the boat together. Isn't the life of fishing very good?" Chapter 304 Oka's Black Gun. Boom boom boom. Enel and Titch fight together. The fierce black light beam shot out like a machine gun, and finally disappeared in the darkness. Tiki is indeed the opposite of Luffy. In the original book, he replaced Whitebeard and became one of the 4 emperors. After a period of fighting, he discovered Enel's inadequacies. That is, if he has been attracted by the dark water and does not let go, his recovery power will not be fully exerted, and the recovery speed will be greatly reduced. "Thief, ha 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 ha, I know your weakness. Your powerful physique and terrifying resilience are partly due to your fruit ability." After Tiki attracted Enel, he grabbed his shoulders, let go, and punched Enel with a punch. "So what? Can you really hold on to me and not let go?" Enel shot back. Although his hands are short, he still has feet, and Titch's fat belly is easy to reach. Boom, boom, boom. Enel's head was covered in blood, and Titch gritted his teeth and suffered severe pain. The pain blurred his vision, and he almost couldn't help but want to let go of Enel. But reason told him that he must not give up at this time, otherwise Enel would be freed from the control of the dark water. Then the injury will be restored soon, and everything before will be in vain. Damn fat. Enel suddenly opened his mouth and bit Titch's arm. Wow Titch screamed. Enel rolled, trying to break Titch's arm that was grabbing his shoulder. The latter fell instantly, strangling the former's neck. After Enel hit him with his elbows again and again, Titch completely gave up his defense, forcibly took Enel's blow, and exerted strength with both hands, as if he wanted to strangle Enel to death. Enel kicked back with his right leg, targeting the middle of Titch's legs. Titch's face changed, and he raised his leg to block the attack. Getting rid of Titch's entanglement, he rolled over and turned into a half-dragon form, with shadows lingering, and claws like iron swords, stabbing at Titch's neck. Oka suddenly shot. A sea tower stone bullet wrapped in a huge amount of domineering, flew towards Enel. Snipers should shoot black guns. Boom. The half-dragon state could not stop such an attack. The bullet tore the dragon scales and eventually stayed on his shoulder blades. The huge impact pushed the defenseless Enel forward and stumbled to the ground. Damn Oka, it's actually a sea tower bullet. It's too careless. Enel was weak. Successful. Way haha, well done. Oka. Bashes laughed. Milo's expression changed. Sniper. Beating my captain in front of me is like I don't exist, right? Let you see what a real sniper is. Milo is a mage, a thief who plays long-range strikes, and also acts as a sniper. Huh. The crew of the Blackbeard pirates who were watching the battle suddenly felt a deadly crisis looming over them. His face changed greatly. He instinctively ran forward without looking for the source of the attack. At this time of crisis, Poison Q and his sick horse burst out with unlimited potential, running as fast as a healthy boy. I rely on. It turns out that this product can run so fast. Bassos was stunned, suspecting that he had read it wrong. Their rich fighting sense saved their lives. Before he could run far, he heard a loud bang. The thick thunder column fell from the sky like a divine punishment. The huge energy shook the earth, the air roared, and there was only a buzzing sound in the ears. His eyes were white, and it seemed that there was only light left in the whole world. The air wave overturned Oka and the others, blowing them far away. Waiahaha, I'm lucky to be alive. Bashes laughed heartlessly. Who is it? Oka looked to the left cautiously. With a flash of lightning, Milo appeared in front of them. You guys shot my captain in front of me. Where did you put my sniper's face? It's terrifying. That one just now, is it the thunder fruit? The premier nature-type devil fruit, way haha, we are really unlucky. Bashes still laughed, but his eyes were full of solemnity, staring at Milo. Don't dare to blink. Thunder, a sniper who uses thunder as a bullet. Oka was more concerned about Milo calling himself a sniper. Muscles wriggled for a while, the Halu stone bullet was squeezed out, and the injury recovered at a speed visible to the naked eye, and the scars on Enel quickly disappeared. This is the resilience he evolved from himself, and Enel used the power of the devil to strengthen the resilience of his own body. This is a permanent change to his body, and it will not fail when the fruit ability disappears. This feature is the self-recovery of the muscle itself. Even when you are completely powerless, you can do it yourself. Enel's combat effectiveness is indeed not very high. His strong ability is survivability. Even if Milo didn't intervene, he wouldn't lose his combat effectiveness. The phenomenon of ability restraint in the world of pirates is very serious. Ace can fight against Aokiji without falling behind, but in front of Akainu, he has no resistance at all. But Enel's ability has no weakness. In addition to the common nemesis of all ability people, there is almost no other ability that can restrain him. Facing any opponent, Enel's combat power is constant. Of course, the movement on Oka's side also attracted the attention of Enel and Blackbeard. What is that? Titch suddenly had a bad feeling, and Enel is already difficult enough, plus an unknown thunderbolt. Their Blackbeard pirates have no chance of winning. Raiden is that guy Milo. Enel hadn't learned to be domineering when he separated from Milo, so he didn't write down his vitality characteristics. Titch decisively issued a retreat order. Quick retreat. Oka, go to the beach. Dark water. His target this time was not Enel, but Milo. What? Milo, who was confronting Oka and the others, suddenly stepped back, and his ability had a faint feeling of being separated from his body, which made him unable to adapt for a while. Oka took the opportunity to shoot Milo, then ran to the beach. Enel flew to Milo and blocked the bullet. Titch grabbed Milo and punched him in the neck. Milo's strength is largely based on the Thunderbolt fruit. Unlike Enel's ability, the Thunderbolt fruit does not have the ability to permanently change physical characteristics. He was blinded by Titch's attack. Those who haven't really faced Titch can't understand the powerless feeling after being attracted by dark water. Boom! Was beaten into a pile of rubble, sawdust flying. Enel wanted to pursue Titch, but Oka kept interfering and hindering his pursuit. Bashes carried Oka on his back, and the latter attacked Enel with a sniper rifle with all his heart. Bastard! I'm going to hack them to death. When Milo climbed out of the ruins, the Blackbeard pirates had already run to the sea. Enel stretched out his hand to hold Milo. Forget it, don't chase. Both of us are capable, and at sea, it would be bad if Titch got caught and still in the sea. It's fine, I'll just use a super long-range blow, damn it. This is the first time I've been hurt since I ate the devil fruit. Milo had apparently forgotten that the day he had just eaten the fruit, he was given to him by Enel. Lesson learned. I need Titch's body, even if you can kill them from a distance, we can't find him. Enel rolled his eyes, it would be nice if Carter or Huang were there. Well, I finally know where the dark fruit is, I don't want to search all over the world again. Enel was not too disappointed that Titch was not killed this time. This time it was an encounter, there was no careful planning at all, and it was normal to fail. Before the top war begins, there are many opportunities to kill Tiki, and it is not difficult to kill Tiki without the shock fruit. If according to the trajectory of the original book, Titch will go from the naval headquarters to the underwater prison, that is the best time. This premise is that Tiki becomes Shichibukai. And Titch also has this intention, of course Neil will push hard. When Titch is in action, bring Carter and kill him at sea. You need his corpse. Milo looked at Enel with a strange look. Didn't I say before that I need you to help me capture a certain power I need in his hands, the power I lack? Enel looked at Milo and asked, you now, still my crew? Of course. I've waited for you for 17 years, but don't let me down. That fat man's strange abilities are indeed very strong. Milo looked at Tiki's faraway little raft with an inexplicable expression. Waited for me for 17 years. Neil was shocked, don't you need to be so affectionate? I'm a little worried. Chapter 305 The Danger of Approaching the Straw Hat. Although the Shandians and Sky Islanders temporarily stopped the war under the oppression of powerful enemies and united together, the hatred accumulated over the generations made them unable to trust each other to fight together. They were divided into 3 attacking directions, with Luffy, Gangcole and Wappa being in charge of all the way. The priests gathered at the shrine of the god raised their heads at the same time. Their knowledge has already discovered their opponents. Hoo-ho-ho, the little mice are here. Let's go and play with them. Shadley jumped from side to side, tiptoeing around for a few times. Nirvana, who was a little demented, bit her lower lip for a long time and was speechless. He was so depressed that he seemed to have forgotten how to speak. It wasn't until Dashan reminded him that he suddenly realized, so it is. I am too careless. Although we're not interested in fighting, if they want to fight, we won't back down. Let's attack, Legion of God. Lu Huo's eyes were no longer lazy, and his eyes were suddenly sharp. The god soldier Changshan brought Nirvana and 50 god soldiers to face Gangcole and his remnants. Chaudhry led 100 mechanical soldiers to fight against the Shandians. Lu Huo walked to the ark and drove towards Luffy and the others. The cave under the shrine is where the motto was born. Rows of small mechanical soldiers fell asleep again. They were expressionless, and each lay in the rest cabin as if they were dead. This is the mechanical legion that Milo brought down from the moon, all of which have been fully charged. However, most of them are dormant, and only 200 are usually active. Lord Liu Huo, according to the current situation, the invaders are very powerful. Do you need to wake up the reserve army? A mechanical soldier saluted. No, it's enough with me. Wake them all up, and if you run out of energy, that guy Milo is going to complain about the trouble of charging again. I don't want him talking in my ear all day. Lu Huo looked at the mechanical soldiers assembled on the deck, only 50. There were 200 active, and 100 under Shadley, and a few less. Hey, what about the others? Why does it seem like there are fewer people? She asked. She could not hear the voices of these mechanical soldiers. Report Lord Herring has led 50 people to stop the invaders. Herring. She's here to give away people, let's chase after her. Lu Huo was obviously not optimistic about Herring's actions. After all, she only had a combat power of 5 and was incompetent in physical skills, so she would only find someone to elope. Fish. Outside the Apayado forest, Wappa stopped and said, it's too late for those who want to leave. The opponent is that unfathomable god. Although the Qinghai people killed one priest, there are still 3 of that kind of guy. Quote. Bram turned the two guns in his hand. We will go down this road. We never thought about backing down. Everyone is mentally prepared. The consciousness of dying in battle. Wapa's expression was solemn, and the air was full of chills. Keep up, let's go. Gankol rode Pierre and said to his subordinates, I am sorry I am incompetent to get you involved in such a sinister battle again. I beg you finally help me one last time. Quote. Please don't do this, Lord God. We have already made up our minds to sacrifice. For the people of the sky. Follow in your footsteps. Oh. The Mary sailed along the Yunhe toward the depths of the forest. Luffy was lying on the railing of the Mary, looking bored. It's so boring. Why hasn't that god come out yet? Hey Luffy, are we really okay with this? Going to provoke that guy called God. Maybe he will be sent to hell. Zoro yawned. It doesn't matter, I have already decided to beat that bastard. It looks terrible here. Are the trees around here hundreds of years old? It feels cold, maybe there are monsters living inside. Usopp looked around, his legs trembling. Hey, you have to protect me later. Nami said confidently. Namishin let me, a knight, protect you. Sanji looked like a pig. Then I'll trouble you, Sanji. Hi. Robin stared at the forest, and a sense of the vicissitudes of history came over her face. Coupled with the legend of the Golden Land, she had a faint hunch. There will be something here that will interest her. Chopper and Luffy had already taken the fishing rod and started fishing at some point. Hey, is it really okay for you to be so laid back? Zoro groaned, then fell asleep. Nami's face darkened. Are you qualified to speak to others? Are you really here for a fight and not for an outing? The enemy doesn't know when it will appear. Is this really good? Then she ate a spoonful of the special dessert that Sanji made for her. Sanji, I want to, Luffy shouted. You bastard, do it yourself, Sanji returned. Oh, hooked. Luffy hurriedly grabbed the fishing rod as soon as the fishing line tightened. Okay, so heavy. Wow, I fell into a big fish. Chopper turned into a strong man. Usopp also ran over, and the three of them pulled the fishing rod together. After a tug of war, they finally won. With a loud bang, the fish was finally pulled up. A shadow enveloped the Mary, and Usopp looked up at the sky, his expression suddenly terrified. A big mouth full of fangs, and the bloody mouth can almost drop half a Mary in one bite. Empty shark. Sanji jumped up and kicked it into the river. Hey, what the hell are you three idiots doing? In the river of clouds, Herring stuck out his head and showed a malicious smile. Oh, well done. But how long can you last? As a merman, she is able to communicate with other fish. The objects she can communicate with are sharks, and in the entire White Sea, all empty sharks will accept her orders. Wow, Sanji, you kicked out my lunch. Luffy said angrily. Idiots, we're not here for an outing. Hey, stop arguing, another shark is coming. Usopp shouted. Oh hoo, the breath of adventure is coming. Rubber gun. First meet. Sharks were knocked out by them. However, more empty sharks rushed forward without fear of death, as if they would not stop until they were torn to shreds. Looking at the fins above the water, Sanji's face was not very good. What's the matter? It's endless. Where the hell are we attracting them? It's as if someone is in control. Robin looked into the distance, and there seemed to be a small point undulating in the river of clouds. She used the ability of flowers and fruits to open her eyes on the big tree beside Shoutian. It was only then that it became clear that it was a little girl. The empty sharks bypassed the little girl and swam towards the Mary. Found it. Robin smiled. Herring, who didn't know that she had been exposed, smiled foolishly when she saw everyone on the melee in a hurry. 306 chapters caught Herring. Dazzling flowers. Robin activated his abilities, and arms grew from the deck of the Mary, one after another, toward the Herring. Herring stared blankly at the palm that she grabbed towards her, with a curious expression on her face. It was the first time she saw such a scene. She didn't feel good until the palm of her hand grabbed her shoulder. Screaming and struggling, a fish tail kept swinging in the cloud river. Help! Although Robin is not the main fighting force of the Straw Hats, his strength is not small. At least more than the average person. After screaming, the herring with less than 5 combat power was caught without any resistance. Herring, who was caught on the boat, used her trick and pretended to be dead. She blew bubbles and rolled the eyes of the dead fish. Hey, this is a mermaid. Sanji looked at the herring, and the smoke fell out of shock. It's a pity that she is a flat-chested little loli, not the beautiful girl with big breasts and thin waist in his fantasy. Fishman Island, it really does exist. Sanji suddenly fell into a fantasy. In the blue sea, beautiful mermaids play. The sound is ethereal, like the sounds of nature. Thinking about it, Sanji got a nosebleed. Herring's face turned blue. Watching my nose bleed. Is this a pervert? Those sharks just now seem to be manipulated by this mermaid lady. Robin smiled. Wow, it's a mermaid. Great. Chopper ran over excitedly. Zoro woke up from the dream, then stood up, saw everyone in a circle, and asked, what are you all doing? Are you so leisurely, really, without any vigilance at all? Nami's backhand is a punch. You, a person who slept until the battle was over, dared to tell us to be vigilant. This is a mermaid. Zoro looked at the herring in surprise. Hey Chopper, save her, she seems to be dying. Luffy looked innocent. Okay. Chopper checked the herring with a stethoscope, and said doubtfully, you are in good health. Nami was speechless to these two partners. She was pretending to look at it, and her eyes opened from time to time. Do you all believe this? How low is this IQ? Hey, stop pretending, wake up. Nami smiled gloomily. Herring opened her eyes and saw the fierce Nami. She was so frightened that she quickly closed her eyes. The body is still shaking. I heard that blue fish is the best for soups. Sauron pulled out a smile, pulled the knife out of its sheath a little, and said, let's cut it into sashimi. Hearing the blade rubbing against the scabbard, the metal trembled. Herring shouted to get up and wanted to escape, but Nami grabbed the collar and picked it up. Don't kill me. Forgive me. Hey, say, tell us everything you know about God, or we'll eat boiled fish for lunch. Nami smiled harmlessly, but it was frightening. It was hell, the devil running out of it. I won't reveal the military situation. Herring looked righteous. I warn you, let me go, or else. She wanted to say something threatening, but she racked her brains and couldn't come up with anything. How about otherwise? Nami had a tendency to turn black. Herring flashed, suddenly remembered that she still had 50 mechanical soldiers under her command, and shouted, come and save me. Yes, Lord Herring. The mechanical soldiers burst out from the forest, rushing towards the Mary like a pack of wolves attacking their prey. Nami was taken aback by the sudden appearance of the enemy, who had been surrounded without knowing it. The mechanical soldiers kept going forward, and under the order of Herring, Daoshin Yunhai did not back down. So, one by one, the mechanical soldiers jumped into the sea of clouds, sinking into it with electric sparks. A bubble cannot rise. Nami looked at them like a fool. No idea at all. Herring's expression froze, and the hope that had just risen was immediately dashed. Boom! The thunder exploded, and a bolt of lightning pierced the river of clouds in front of them. The road ahead is cut off. Carry the sails. Stop the boat. What the hell is going on here? Nami looked gloomy as she looked at the long-lasting dark clouds in the sky and the thunder that fell like raindrops. The sudden surprise made her heart tensed. Herring thought Milo was here, but after seeing no one, she lowered her head in disappointment. This lightning strike was not miraculous, but a natural phenomenon. She lifted the herring to her level, put it close to her face, and said viciously, you really don't want to say anything? I feel like eating boiled fish. I said. Herring instantly compromised and told the Straw Hats everything she knew without a word, not even forgetting that Milo was green on top of his head. It is green, the color of green grassland. The sky in Apahado was originally normal, but one day a year ago, thunderstorms suddenly covered up, and the thunderstorm has been falling for more than a year. I don't know the specific reason, but it must be Myrna. Good job, dude. Herring sold thoroughly. That hateful guy should be taught a lesson. I've worked hard to repair the Yunhe River. Come on, show him a good look. Defeat the evil Milo. Herring seemed to have changed her position, shouting for the Straw Hat. Cheer up. The corners of Nami's mouth twitched. This discipline, it was a match for what she had. Cyan hair, using Thunderbolt. Couldn't it be the person we met in the White Sea? Robin mused. Huh, that guy is a god. It doesn't seem that bad. Usopp said. Suddenly guessing now is useless. We continue to advance to the Shrine of the Gods, and we will meet them. But it seems that we can't continue to take the boat, so we have to walk there. Sanji lit a cigarette and stared at the disconnected cloud in front of him. River. Wait, you will repair the Yunhe River, right? Nami asked, looking at the herring. I'm short of props. I need Chu Yunbei, Ching Yun said weakly, fearing that one of them would be in a bad mood, so he cut her up to make fish soup. Nami, afraid of the danger in the forest, proposes to stay and watch the ship. Robin, Zoro, and Luffy formed an assault team to continue to the Shrine of God. Herring was held hostage. Just as Herring was speaking all kinds of bad things about Milo and maliciously belittling him, in the sky, a huge wooden boat flew close to the top of the tree. A huge shadow hung over the Mary, the rotors spun rapidly, and the blowing canopy swayed back and forth. The stream of fire stood on the edge of the boat, and the fiery red hair was flying like the sparks of the bonfire. Spaceship, Usopp suddenly shouted. Oh, so cool. Chopper's eyes lit up. Sanji looked up at the sky, and at a glance, he saw the flaming fire standing in the wind. His eyes turned into love, beauty. With a long spear next to him, he ignored the neat array of mechanical soldiers. Chapter 307 Fire's Assault. Who the hell are you? Usopp asked, trembling a little, but still plucking up his courage. My name is Liuhuo, and I'm a boatman. Who are you lying? Is there a boatman like you? Usopp obviously didn't believe it, and put on a righteous look and said, whoever you are, listen to me, I have 80 million subordinates. Usopp, if you leave me obediently, I can let you go. Oh, you seem to be very strong. This is the kind of master Milo said that he is afraid of even his own hands. Although my interest is shipbuilding. But if you want to fight, then give it a try. I am also one of the 4 priests. The most basic combat power is still there. Quote. Luhuo is already very humble. Her strength is the first of all priests, not much weaker than Luffy at this time. Usopp was shocked. His intimidation seemed to have the opposite effect. What should I do? Wait, as soon as she saw Luhuo, Herring immediately shouted excitedly, Huo Huo, Huo Huo, help. I was caught. Save me first. She screamed cheerfully, with no signs of being coerced at all. Nami's mouth twitched. You have a bit of self-consciousness as a hostage, okay? Hey Herring, what the hell are you doing? You just ran out to play, and you were caught. Luhuo looked at the herring jumping up and down and stopped. Huo Huo, so hot sister Huo Huo. Hurry up and save me, we are good friends who eloped together. Herring blinked. It's really hard, you can't do anything. Luhuo looked distressed. Hey Qinghai people, let the herring go, how about I let you go? Nami showed a sly smile. I want to leave too, but my friends have entered the forest. They are a bit stubborn and have an unusual desire for treasure hunting. Do you know the clues of the Golden Land? Oh so, Luhuo nodded. Nami's expression brightened. She felt good luck, and they seem to have captured an important role. Herring's status, it doesn't seem to be low. Tell us about the whereabouts of the Golden Country. After our treasure hunt is over, we will naturally release the Mermaid Lady and leave. Luffy has decided to beat Femiro, and the captain's decision, they will not stop it. Nami was just trying to stall for time. Of course, it would be better if she could get the gold. Gold is really just a matter of convenience, delaying time is the main purpose. Since you rejected my proposal, then just die. Luhuo's expression turned cold. With a wave of their hand, the mechanical soldiers jumped towards the Mary one by one. Hey wait, we still have hostages in our hands. Don't mess around. Nami panicked. Herring burst into tears, and said with a sad face, "It's useless, Huo is the type to start fighting when we can't talk about it, and won't mess with you for a long time." "But aren't you her partner? She doesn't care about your life." Chopper looked horrified. "I won't take it into account. I guess what Huo is thinking now is that if you dare to put me in front of you as a shield, she will kill me first. Then she will send you down to accompany me. Woo, I don't want to die yet." Herring felt that her fish was so miserable. "Are you going to die so young?" The mechanical soldier has been transferred to the Mary, and surrounded Sanji and others in a circle. The mechanical soldiers went to kill them. They were covered in armor, and the spears in their hands emitted blue electricity. Sanji kicked a soldier who was charging. Suddenly his face changed, and an electric current gushed out from the mechanical soldier's body and flowed through Sanji's body. This kind of guy who can passively start 100,000 volts is simply a hedgehog. Although small, it is very difficult to deal with. "Wow!" Sanji screamed and stepped back. This electric current will not be fatal, but the feeling of muscle paralysis is absolutely unpleasant. "Be careful, these things are electrified." He originally had a very disdainful attitude towards these robots. Who told Herring to get 50 bubbles of scum that can't be turned up from the beginning? But seeing their combat power at this time, I realized that I had far underestimated these things. Just a few dozen bots, and they're in trouble. It's so weak, even a few mechanical soldiers can't handle it. Huo asked Sanji's performance in confusion. "Herring, how did you get caught by them?" Herring bowed her head in shame, looking embarrassed. "Can I say that I just jumped in a daze? Quick fight. I still have to think about how to improve the performance of proverbs. I don't have time to play with you." Huo rushed down, changed his posture in midair, waved his right hand, and shouted, "Fire snake." A huge pillar of fire emerged from Huo's arm, and the flaming snake roared towards the Mary. "Wow, you really do it!" Herring shouted and ran away. Nami's expression darkened. She gave up holding Herring and avoided the attack. Herring took advantage of the chaos and jumped into the Yunhee River. "Trash hewer, did you just want to kill me with you?" She pouted, although she had known Huo's style for a long time, but the life and death situation just now made her angry. "Look, didn't you escape? I understand the strategy only by making the other party feel that the hostages are not important. Is there a chance?" Huo said seriously. "Really?" Herring asked suspiciously. "Fake." Herring. In the face of Ryuka's aggressive attack, Sanji stepped forward to fight her. However, he has always been on the defensive, and the knight's creed of not hitting women has penetrated into his soul. "Your spirit is commendable, however. There is no distinction between men and women in battle. Besides, you are weaker than me." Huo's face was expressionless, and a flame shot out from his hand. Torrential rain. Nami used her weather wand, and the flames dwindled. The mechanical soldier, who was still imposing just now, was sizzling with sparks. "Hey, these mechanical soldiers are too frustrating, they are not waterproof," Herring complained. If it wasn't for the fact that they were not waterproof, the 50 people led by Herring alone would be able to make the Straw Hat Pirates drink a pot. When Sanji and Ruo fought, the other two battlefields also unfolded. Compared to this, Shadley's 100 mechanical soldiers really showed their strength. Shish. Dazzling light. Under the attack of blue lightning beams, the Shandians suffered heavy losses. The sharp beam is like a knife cutting tofu, and anything in front of it will be penetrated. Ho, do you have this little strength? Don't keep running away. Don't you want the glory of your ancestors? You can't even see the face of God. Shad used a hateful, frivolous tone said. Gang Cole's side played well. After all, the combat power of the magic soldiers was just like that. Chapter 308 Thunder and Lightning. Enel and Milo come to the Sky Island. Ahahaha, Milo, you really came here. Have you found the Golden Bell? Enel asked. Golden Bell. Oh, it seems that there is this thing. which I melted and made into a ship. It seems that your goal when you went to that island 17 years ago was gold, right? The wealth of the golden country should have entered the stupid cat. Backpack. Milo glanced at Enel. In his eyes, Enel always seemed out of place, but often inexplicably gained huge benefits. It was as if he had planned to work towards those goals from the very beginning. He never understood why Enel knew secret information such as the Thunder Fruit and the Golden Land. Have you made your motto? How's the lunar landscape? Enel asked. It's very strange. I have harvested a batch of robots, which are very good for repairing ships and sundries. In Milo's eyes, those robots can also come in handy. When he got close to Apogidor, Enel's pupils shrank. Thunderclouds cover the sun, and silver snakes dance in the sky. Lightning streaks rolled like thunder dragons in a sea of clouds. Thunder bursts, falling to the ground from time to time. The air trembled, and the sea of clouds was surging. Enel was pretty sure that Milo didn't use his abilities now, and the weather in EPUB in the original book wasn't so bad. The sight in front of him reminded him of the forbidden place of God on Bika Island. The island seems to have been altered by devil fruits. Just like Punk Hazard in the original. Awaken. A word suddenly popped up in Enel's mind, which can permanently change the climate of an island. This is undoubtedly something that can only be done by the awakening of the nature department. Miro, has he reached this point? Enel was a little surprised. This is the awakening of the Thunder Fruit. He reevaluated Milo's strength in his heart, and estimated that in general, it should be not far from the 3 generals. Although Milo was slightly weak in armament and physique, the unparalleled sight and the powerful attack power of the Thunder Fruit were enough to make up for this. Milo is definitely not as strong as the 3 generals in melee combat, but his positioning as a long-range sniper. He can carry out ultra-long-range strikes through the sight of color and Thunder Fruit. In general, in the strength level of general, it is not weak. Enel was already on the verge of awakening. And it was the result of deliberate suppression. He was not very surprised that Milo was able to awaken the fruit. Generally, those who have obsessions or strong hatred in their hearts are more suitable for the development of devil fruits, and they are more likely to touch the threshold of awakening than ordinary people. Doflamingo is like that, so is Tezzolo. They all used hatred to wake up the devil. Milo seems to be very free and easy now, and he seems to be very good at talking with a smile. But Enel would never forget that demon-like boy when he first shipped it to Milo. Philomena's death was an indelible pain in his heart. The hatred and tyranny in his heart never diminished. The indifference and ruthlessness towards life has never changed. At the beginning, he lost to Kizaru, and destroying the entire Bika in order to prevent the world government from achieving its goal is the best proof of his disregard for life. Hey, you seem to have done something incredible. That island, you made it like this. Enel pointed to the sky above Apayado. Oh, you said that I don't know what's going on. A year ago, I felt that the control of my ability suddenly increased a level, and then the sky above Apayado became like this inexplicably. I also very distressed. Herring has been complaining to me for a long time. Milo looked helpless. Enel didn't know who the herring was. It should be one of Milo's subordinates. He rolled his eyes. Is this a good deal even if it's cheap? I don't know how many people are eager to develop the devil fruit to this level. You have come to this point in an ignorant way. I don't know how many people will envy it. Enel himself is envious. The awakening of the fruit, the strength can be greatly improved. He didn't know why, but every time he tried to awaken, the wild intuition brought by the dragon fruit reminded him of the mortal danger. As a result, he still does not dare to wake up. It seems that someone is fighting. Every time Enel came to an unfamiliar island, he would scan all of them with a look of knowledge, which was his habit. The corner of Enel's mouth twitched, and he felt Luffy's vitality. Is this guy who often helps others inexplicably, under the banner of a pirate, with the heart of the Navy, can't he be idle? There is no doubt that the big boss of this island is Milo, so the role of Anilu in the original book should be played by Milo. Enel looked at Milo and asked, don't you have a trial of the gods on this island? God's trial. What? I'm not that boring. I have nothing to do when I have nothing to do to exercise my fruit ability, or how good is it to play happily with a beautiful little angel? What kind of trial are you doing? Milo replied, by the way, listen to the movement of the island with the color of knowledge. Nothing to play with fruit ability. Enel seemed to understand why Milo was able to awaken. It is estimated that most of the training time is spent on this. And hugging Miss Angel. This seems to be quite emotional. It seems that Milo has been very nourished these years. Miro, don't you go and have a look. The one with the straw hat is very interesting. Enel is still very curious about Luffy's combat effectiveness. In the battle with Crocodile, many accidental events made him win. He has great doubts about this, and always feels that there is a very strange power in these accidents. The ones with the straw hats, they're the guys who came up to the ocean. They are really interesting. Do you know him? Milo glanced suspiciously at Enel. He always felt that this way of going up from the sky, at the instigation of Enel. Ah, I know, it's quite easy to talk to. You can be considered a friend. They seem to treat you as an enemy. Don't keep your hands because of me, just kill if you want. But if you fail, I will also. It is inconvenient to take action, but you can ask Huang to help you find the place. Quote. Failure. What a joke. It's just a bunch of newcomers. I'm no longer the kid I used to be. Milo looked unhappy and his tone was a little gloomy. I can't find what I lost, because of my weakness. But what I have, no one can take away. I already have the power, I will not lose. Lightning flashed, and the dazzling silver razor wrapped around Milo. He came into the world like a god, with the coercion and momentum of thunder. The thunder that exploded was his roar from the heart. Chapter 309, Milo's Song. I'm just saying there is a possibility. You know that I always consider the worst. Milo, you are indeed very strong, and the strong thunder fruit gives you great power. But the devil, the fruits are mutually reinforcing, and they really have a chance to defeat you. There was a hint of provocation in Enel's words. Straw Hat Luffy really seems to have the power to cause miracles. I will prove to you that there is no possibility for them. Just keep your eyes open and see clearly. My power, miracles, etc., will eventually surrender to absolute power. Milo looked arrogant, with unparalleled confidence. He is no longer the cowardly young man who lacked self-confidence in himself 17 years ago. He is now the ruler of the sky, the god of thunder. In the forest of Appayado, Luffy walked to the front, followed by Robin and Zoro. Zoro followed, and suddenly found that the two in front were gone. What about people? Those guys shouldn't get lost. I really can't do anything about them. Zoro shook his head, lamenting that his teammates were so out of tune that they would even admit their mistakes. The shrine of God is in the north, then go in the cold direction. At this time, Sauron was usually exposed to sunlight from the gaps in the leaves, and was usually in the shadows. He resolutely walked in the direction of the shadow. Luffy and Robin looked at each other. Where's that guy Zoro? Hey Zoro, are you there? Luffy shouted. Robin didn't know what to say anymore. Soren's road idiot has reached a terminally ill level, and he will go the wrong way even if he follows. Are you a child? As he walked, Robin felt that something was wrong. It was too dark around. Looking up at the sky, thick thunderclouds gathered above their heads, while the sky in the distance cleared. It seems that the thunderclouds in this entire area are concentrated in the sky above them. Is it getting dark? Why did it suddenly become so strange? Luffy buckled his booger with a puzzled look on his face. Bang! The sky exploded, lightning flashed, and blue and white light illuminated the world. The light was grand, and then it fell silent again, leaving only the branches of a tree in front of them, still bright white. Milo is here. He touched the black gentleman's hat on his head and held a microphone in his right hand. Facing Luffy and them, he started his rap performance. The electric light that makes my fingertips dance. Be the faith of your life. Thunderbolt, 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 woo, woo, woo. He stretched out his left hand, lightning jumped on his index finger, and a circle of electricity turned. as that charge flows through the body. Muscle twitching trembling cannot help themselves. Remember this ***** pleasure. This will be your lifelong belief. Woo, whoa, 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 whoa. Aniel behind a nearby tree is covered in black lines. Milo, you just rushed over aggressively and thought you were going to slaughter the Straw Hats neatly. But what the hell is it now? Let's wrap before the fight starts. Everyone is on your ground, you don't get angry and just do it. Are you here to be funny? Are you sure you're not a jerk? Although no one around saw him, Enel couldn't help covering his face, as if I didn't know this guy. Luffy picked up his booger and looked at Milo with contempt. Is this guy an idiot? Robin smiled and said nothing. Wow, beautiful. Milo came to Robin in a flash. Beautiful lady, be my partner. Come to my side, it must be better than your stay with them. Quote. Milo took Robin's hand and leaned over to kiss it. Enel looked confused. Huh. When did this guy become a pervert? Didn't he always miss Philomena? Cold sweat broke down Robin's face, and Milo's speed that seemed to move in an instant shocked her. Are you a god? Robin calmed down and asked. God, if you said the ruler of this empty island, it should be referring to me. Milo replied. Hey, you're that god. Robin is my buddy. Watch me blow you away. Luffy shouted. Kick me off, ha 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 ha. Milo laughed. Do you know what it means to say this? This is not a child playing house. I'm going to beat you up. Damn bastard. Luffy glared at Milo. I'm sorry, but my captain seems very unhappy with you. Robin withdrew her hand and refused with a smile. Oh well, that's really a pity. But the Straw Hat Boy, why are you attacking the realm of the gods, Apahado? That's declaring war on me. Milo's face suddenly turned gloomy. Robin only felt a great pressure come upon him. The pressure on her from the Thunderfruit abilities is too great. She is not the kind of stunned Luffy, and it is precisely because she knows that she is even more afraid. She also knows about the power of this top-level natural system to destroy the world. I don't care what kind of gods, fights don't depend on names. I was attacked by you as soon as I came up, I am very upset. And the people who dare to enslave the Sky Island are even more unforgivable. People yearn for freedom, you can't hold people's hearts even if you're a god. Just wait for me, I'm going to beat you up. Luffy said and rushed up. Hee hee, it just so happens that I want to meet you too. Let me see what the strength level of a man with such courage is. Luffy has an inexplicable infectious power, or a spirit. This invisible and intangible thing cannot be seen with the naked eye. But those who come into contact with him can feel his difference. The temperament that is different from ordinary people, in front of the real powerhouse, is as obvious as the lights in the dark. Boom. Fist to fist, lightning and rubber slammed together. Milo was stunned for a moment. The imaginary blow that knocked the opponent out of combat didn't happen. Instead, he took a few steps back because he underestimated the enemy for a while. He believed that the destructive power of lightning was enough, so he didn't use domineering. What is going on here, and how could Thunderbolt fail? Milo frowned. His ability is in all directions, and he can easily make people fall to the ground without using all his strength. And Luffy's voice is not very strong in his opinion. But after being attacked from the front, he was still alive and kicking. He suddenly remembered what Enel had said to him about the ability to build on each other. Your ability is not afraid of lightning, right? Milo asked in a deep voice. That's right, I'm a rubber man who ate a rubber fruit. Thunderbolt doesn't work for me. Luffy grinned. Really? It's possible. Milo stared at Luffy, remembering the scene when their rubber shield was melted by lightning when they were walking on the road of trial. Chapter 310 Milo vs. Luffy. Milo took a few steps back, preferring long-range attacks. Is it rubber? As long as the voltage is enough, anything can break down. 30 million volts. 60 million volts. 120 million volts. 200 million volts. The fruit of Milo has awakened, and the development is deeper than that of Anilu in the original book. 200 million volts is not his biggest output, and he can easily use it without transforming into the form of Thor. Invalid, 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 invalid. Luffy's body is no ordinary rubber. In addition to the properties of rubber, there are also his own biological properties. The power of a devil fruit is a near-law ability with a conceptual character. The rubber fruit has the conceptual ability to insulate. Milo repeatedly attacked to no avail. His face was as black as carbon. What happened? In the last part of the trial road back then, even the rubber shield couldn't stand it. Why doesn't it work for this guy at all? Is my voltage not high enough? Milo wondered, although he could still increase the voltage, but he didn't want to try it. He doesn't like the state of being a Thor. Ugly. As I said, thunder and lightning are ineffective against me. Rubber bullets. Rubber battle axe. Rubber whip. Damn it. Don't run, Luffy yelled, and Milo stepped back, always keeping the same distance from him. Hey, the means of attack is so direct, not even domineering. Such a level of melee combat is not as good as me as a sniper. Milo no longer retreated, but rushed towards Luffy. Under the influence of seeing and hearing, he can easily predict Luffy's next actions. He closed his eyes and looked relaxed. Luffy kept punching and using his feet. But the opponent is like a catkin floating in the air, and it can't be hit. Taking advantage of Luffy's attack, Milo got close and punched him in the face. Wow! Boom! Luffy was knocked flying, and after bouncing on the ground a few times, he stabilized his body. What's going on? You're obviously using your fist. Why would you use a rubber tube? Luffy wiped the blood from the corner of his mouth and muttered to himself in confusion. Have you never heard of domineering? You dare to be on the Great Waterway at your level. Should I say that the ignorant are fearless? Milo followed Enel for a while, and he was a sniper himself, so he was more cautious and would not shoot if he was not sure. So I learned 70% to 80% of Enel's style. Like Enel, he overestimated his opponent as much as possible. In addition, he met Whitebeard, Garp, Golden Lion, and had played against Kaiabu on Bika Island shortly after he went to sea, so he always thought that there was a lot of combat power. He overestimated the value of force on the Great Channel. It is very puzzled to see that a rookie, like Luffy, dares to be so rampant now. The priests will fight him, so there must be something special about the Straw Hat Pirates. Violated the laws of this country. And from the conversation just now, Milo also knew that Luffy was dissatisfied with his rule and wanted to intervene in the position of God. Milo wondered, how could he dare to challenge him with such a little strength? In the past, with Enel, there was basically no danger when taking the initiative to attack. Enel never acted recklessly without knowing the opponent's situation. Haha, the spirit is quite strong, but it's too self-contained. Although my captain does not have the spirit of yours, he is more trustworthy than you. Huh. Milo turned into a lightning bolt, suddenly appeared behind Luffy, and then stepped up. Luffy counterattacks with his hands. The arm blocked Milo's calf. A huge force came from his hand, and Luffy gritted his teeth to resist, but he still couldn't counteract it. What's going on? Why is this person so powerful? And his body is so hard. Luffy thought inexplicably when he was kicked away. Milo's physical quality is not much stronger than that of Luffy at this time. One is a new general, and the other is a lieutenant general. However, Milo would be domineering in his arms, and combined with the speed of thunder, although he couldn't use the speed of light kick like Kaiabu, its destructive power should not be underestimated. As Kizaru's mantra says, speed equals weight. It was only natural that Luffy would feel that Milo's foot was extremely heavy. Robin's eyes flashed a bit of strangeness, and he said, "Your captain." "Didn't I say, I've been waiting for him here for 17 years hee. Luckily, he finally came. I don't care about this island at all, it doesn't matter who the god is. But you dare to declare war on me, then before you leave, let's play a game with you one last time." Milo smiled evilly. Robin looked at Milo's smile and had a bad premonition. "You guys are really weak, so weak that I can't believe that someone dares to break through the Great Waterway with this little strength." You seem to be very concerned about this island. Luffy got up and punched Milo. Bastard, don't ignore me. Milo grabbed his wrist with a backhand, and a backflip knocked Luffy to the ground. Look at the sky, the thunder cloud is gathering, right? It will form a huge energy ball. Lei Ying. Try to stop me. If you can't defeat me before it gathers, this empty island just will be shut down and fall into Qinghai. Ah ha 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 ha. Quote. Robin's face changed greatly. What good will it do for you? It's no good. I would have left here quietly with my men as soon as my captain arrives. But you attacked me at this time. If I leave at this time, wouldn't it make people misunderstand that I was driven away by you? I know everything about Angel Island. They violated my laws more than once, and I didn't care about them. But they challenged my patience time and time again. Divine power is like a prison. I will let them be benevolent and be buried in the thunder. Robin looked at Milo, chills all over. He knew that the man in front of him would not put his life in his eyes at all. I will stop you. Absolutely, I will never let you succeed. Luffy punched back. Milo leaned back a little, dodged his attack, and stomped his raised head into the ground. Stop talking big, and be realistic. Think about how to save your life. Milo looked at Luffy indifferently. I was very optimistic about you at first, and your courage even made me feel ashamed. But I didn't expect you to be so innocent and impulsive. Like you won't live long at first glance. Ah, that's it. So disappointed. Enel was still expecting Luffy to explode, but now it seems that it's over. Sure enough, it is unreliable to explode seeds or something, but honestly improve the strength and stability. Chapter 311. Trust the Captain. Ghost Slash. The swordsman with 3 swords suddenly jumped out of the bushes. From the front of Milo, his speed is so fast, like a cheetah that has been charging up for a long time. Sauron disdained sneak attacks, so he did not attack from behind. He also knew that his body could not resist that powerful thunder. Only Luffy, a rubber man with insulating properties, can defeat Thunderbolt. The purpose of his attack this time was just to force Milo back and free Luffy from that bondage. If he can't be unexpected, he can't even get close. However, his actions have always been under Milo's control, and the profound knowledge and domineering cultivation has given Milo the power to control the overall situation. Standing here, he controls the entire island including Angel Island. To Zoro's surprise, Milo didn't dodge and was cut in half from his waist by his slash. There is no joy in defeating the enemy, but only a deep chill. He didn't feel like he was slashing at all. Even if the opponent stood still this time, he would be helpless. A swordsman of the 3 swords style. You make me feel like a friend I once knew. 17 years ago, he might have been stronger than you. From your sword, I don't feel the power of all things. Rhythm. The lightning from the upper body floating in the air is connected with the lower body at the cross section, and the mouth is pouring out plain words. The whole picture is very strange. In the original book, Sauron experienced the realm of all things breathing when he defeated Dazbonis in Alabasta, but he did not fully control it. It was not until the Sky Island was under the oppression of Iron Ohm that he truly entered the realm of cutting iron. However, now Ohm had already died in the hands of Lu Huo 17 years ago. Sauron lacked the whetstone, and of course his strength was not as strong. Milo's body joined together as the current moved. He moved so fast that it was difficult for Zoro's naked eyes to keep up, which perfectly explained the movement like thunder. An unimaginably quick kick with unparalleled strength kicked Soren's abdomen. Maybe it was not converted during the battle with Luffy. He didn't have extra lightning damage, just an ordinary kick. Zoro was kicked out like a broken doll, knocked down a huge ancient tree, and was embedded in the second tree like a bullet. Blood continued to flow from his mouth, but there was a smile on his face. His purpose has been achieved. Bastard! How dare you put Zoro? An angry howl came from the ground, and when Milo attacked Zoro, Luffy was relieved of his suppression. Fast stretching fists strike faster than bullets. Rubbing Milo's hair and flying past, he focused slightly. It's faster. Luffy shook his arms, His outstretched arms trembled like strings, swaying from side to side. Huh! There was a flash of lightning, and Milo appeared beside him. Oh, almost hit me, but it wasn't enough. Robin crossed his hands on his chest, dazzling flowers. She tried to restrict Milo's movements, but the arms that had grown from him disappeared in the lightning in an instant. She groaned in pain, and the pain from the disappearance of her arm was fed back to her body. That person is Raiden himself. It seems that except Luffy, the rest of the people are completely unable to participate in this battle. Robin looked solemn. Huh! The hissing of electricity rang in her ears, and Robin's pupils contracted like a cat's eye illuminated by a beam of light in the night. Although I really want a beautiful young lady like you to join us, but you refused, I'm sorry. If you take action, that's a warrior, and I won't let go of a warrior. Robin, run away. Luffy's voice was shrill. Boom! Lightning flashed, and a charred body slowly fell down. Luffy stretched out his arms to embrace the fallen Robin, and lowered his head, making it impossible to see his face. What's the matter? Regret? Didn't you say you were going to beat me up? Running away before you met me is your best choice. Willful recklessness will pay the price. Your life, your partner's life. As a captain, it would be incompetent if you don't think about the consequences. Milo's mouth twitched upwards with sarcasm. Maybe you trust your partner, and you are willing to sacrifice your life for your partner, but that doesn't change the fact that your partner is hurt because of you. My captain may be more selfish than you, but he at least consider how this will affect your partner before taking action. Quote. He is also self-willed, and he also acts recklessly, but he will restrain himself because of the reality and will not do the impossible. It is more secure to be by his side. Think about it. Do you really love your partner? Your impulses will bring you devastating disasters. Milo kept hitting Luffy's heart. Zoro staggered over, his leg broken. But he still stood up straight, walked to Luffy and Milo's side, and pointed his sword forward. Our captain doesn't need you to discuss. Luffy, be yourself. We all believe in you. If you shrink back, I will look down on you. You are the one we choose to follow. Ah. That's it. The feeling at that time, the breath of all things, I felt it, a higher level. I recalled the scene when I fought with Hawkeye and big character bonus, turned the two swords, set off airflow. I am flashy, everything is empty. The three swords are profound meanings. 3,000 worlds. Boom. Being able to comprehend a higher realm at such a time. You are very weak, but you are still too weak. There is an insurmountable gap between us. Milo looked at Sauron, who was charred and slowly fell down, with a look of admiration in his eyes. Sauron. Watching Zoro fall, Luffy suddenly calmed down and didn't shout like he did just now. He stood up and put Robin aside. He punched Milo with all his strength. This punch condensed his belief, with apology and responsibility to his partner. It's useless. Your strength is not enough. Milo closed his eyes and looked relaxed. It's more of a joke than a fight. Just like adults play with children. Boom. A sharp pain came from his abdomen, and Milo flew backwards. After a few turns in the air, he regained his footing. He wiped a trace of blood from the corner of his mouth. He was injured for the first time since the start of the war. He frowned and looked at Luffy in confusion. What's the matter? I just saw that the color didn't work. No, I'm the one who was slow to respond. What's going on? The breath is completely different. In Milo's perception, Luffy seemed to be a different person generally. Chapter 312. Luffy who grew up in battle. Ahahaha, this kind of aura. Yes, that's the kind of aura. It suits you. Is this your true state? Milo laughed wildly as he looked at Luffy, whose aura had changed drastically. Luffy's straw hat had already been placed on Robin's body, and he looked at Milo with cold eyes. The air was full of chills. Ano couldn't help but look sideways, just like when he finally fought Crocodile. He had an inexplicable feeling that the air was a little dull. A sense of danger came from all directions, but he just didn't know what gave him such a sense of depression. It seems the whole world is against itself. That's right, it was like standing on the opposite side of the world at this time. Enel didn't fight Luffy head-on, but he was on Milo's side between Luffy and Milo, of course. What's going on? The will of the world. Isn't it right it shouldn't be? I seem to have felt a similar feeling in other people before, but it's not as strong as this time. Enel stared in Luffy's direction. There are many trees between them. Enel's line of sight seemed to pass through the obstruction and was directed at Luffy. Luffy turned around and glanced at Enel. Have you been discovered? Even the senses have become sharper. Although there is no change on the outside, why do I feel like a Super Saiyan transformed? Even the eyes are completely different. Enel complained in his heart. Luffy kicked his legs and shot Milo away. Boom! Boom! The two collided, strong winds raged, and the impact continued. Milo became more and more surprised. Luffy's combat power soared, and his combat skills continued to improve. Beast-like intuition, Genis-like learning ability, Luffy is getting stronger. Become stronger. Keep getting stronger. He learns in battle and gets stronger at a rate that can be clearly felt. He is a physique genius. It was completely different from when Milo was easily teased. Blood dripped down drop by drop. Falling down on the deck, red dazzling. Sanji covered his stomach with pain on his face. A large mass of blood flowed out of his mouth, and the aroma of barbecue filled the air. Sanji's body was scarred by the blows of the flame shell and the shock shell. She didn't use the platoon attack, the opponent was suppressed by her all the way, and there was no need to use those desperate tricks. Chopper turned into a big man, looking at Luhuo with fear in his eyes. The top of his head was charred and bald. Usopp's legs were trembling, and he had just received a shock that knocked his nose crooked. What are you hesitating about? If you fight with all your strength, although it won't change the result, I think it will take some effort to win you. Luhuo's face was cold. Yeah, Sanji, fight back. What are you doing? You're going to die like this. Nami shouted. I won't kick a woman even if I die. Sanji looked solemn. This is his belief, and it will never change because of the dangerous situation. Luhuo was speechless, insisting to this point. She was a little embarrassed to hit him. Ah, he's a good guy. The dim sum he made is really delicious. Herring said from a distance, Huahuo, let's discuss, or let him die. It doesn't matter to me, it's okay to let them go as long as they leave quickly and go back to Qinghai. Luhuo scratched his ears. No, we still have friends here. Nami flatly refused. You said they were 3 people. It's estimated that they won't be able to return. They have already fought against Milo, and 2 of them should have died. Luhuo glanced in Milo's direction. In her perception, 2 voices have disappeared. What? Don't lie, how could the 3 of them be defeated so easily? Your trick, I saw through it at a glance. Usopp shuddered and said with some self-comfort. Believe it or not, didn't you see the thunder that fell over there just now? Do you think it is possible for your partner to defeat the thunder? Milo, it's the thunder that has been feared by people since ancient times. Plan to explain. Since you don't want to go, then die here. Hey, have something to say. Nami shouted in a panic. Ryahuo avoided Sanji. She didn't even want to do anything to this idiot. I won't let you hurt Namishin. Sanji kicked Ryahuo's wrist and changed the direction of the flames. Sanji, get out of the way. Thunder cloud weather. Nami used the dark clouds in the sky to release stronger thunder and lightning. Although the fire escaped, it was still affected, and his body was a little paralyzed. Sanji was also slightly affected. The flames blazed, igniting the Mary. Wow, Mary, Chopper cried, trying to put out the flames. Prosperity, Zoro, adversity, Luffy, despair, Usopp is not just talking about it. Usopp is one of the Straw Hat Pirates who has the deepest affection for the Mary, which was given to him by his childhood sweetheart, Koya. When the Mary was on fire, there was no fear in his heart, only calmness remained. He was not busy putting out the fire, knowing that all efforts would be in vain if the fire was not put out. Sanji kept parrying Ryahuo's attacks and was knocked to the ground again and again. Stand up again and again. Although he is powerful, he does not attack at all. Chopper, a cute pet. Usopp a coward. Flowing Fire's target is Nami. To a certain extent, Nami, who can control thunder and lightning, is her biggest threat at this time. If she was hit in the front, even she would not feel good. Wow, rubbish Fire, haven't you been ruthless? Are you moved by other people's chivalry? You are mine, you are not allowed to mess with flowers. Herring didn't think it was a big deal to watch the fun, and worked hard on the side. Booing. Tic-tac-toe appeared on Lu Huo's forehead. Tolerate. I will endure. I will endure. The herring was still thinking in pieces. I can't take it anymore. Fuck you, dead salted fish, shut up. Liu Huo roared at the herring. Herring pouted and frowned, as if she had been wronged by the sky. He burst into tears. Wow, Huo, you murdered me. It's now. Usopp hypnotic bomb. Usopp seized the opportunity and shot the white unknown object into her mouth. The white substance melts in the mouth and flows down the throat into the stomach. What? Before she could finish her words, she collapsed to the ground. Ah, Huo, what's wrong with you? Don't scare me. Herring suddenly felt bad. She successfully became a pig teammate once, disturbing Lu Huo's heart network. Ah, the effect is so good. Usopp looked at the raging fire, his face stunned. Wow, ha ha ha, you know how good my master Usopp is. He laughed with his hands on his hips. Usopp, great job. Nami gave him a hug. Namish and I want to. Sanji looked at Nami expectantly, and responded with a back of his head. Fight the fire, save the Mary. Chapter 313 Blast It, Luffy. Although Luffy is constantly improving, compared with Milo, there is still a huge gap. Even though Milo is not good at melee combat, the speed brought by the fruit and the use of domineering make him a crushing situation against Luffy. Not enough, not enough, not enough. Hurry, hurry, hurry. Luffy is still at a disadvantage, and occasionally he can fight back and Milo has to retreat or defend. The impact shook back and forth, the ancient wood shattered, and the wind gusted. At this moment, the sound of flowing fire suddenly disappeared from Milo's perception. What's the matter? Flowing fire. Kicking Luffy away, Milo wanted to rush in the direction of Lu Huo. Unexpectedly, Luffy caught him, and he stretched out his hands like a rope and tied Milo. Asshole, don't get in my way. Milo lost his composure. Lu Huo had lived with him for so long, and Philomena's delicate figure gradually faded away, replaced by Lu Huo's flame-like heroic force. Only at this moment did he realize the weight of the fire in his heart. Milo is ruthless to others, but he values his partners. He doesn't want to lose what he has anymore. Now that Lu Huo's life and death are unknown, he panics. The arrogance of seeing and hearing is also disturbed, and the effect is greatly reduced. Rubber bell. Luffy bumped Milo's forehead with his head. Although he was armed with armor, Milo was still dizzy. You are courting death. 300 million volts maximum discharge, Thor. A huge giant made of thunder and lightning suddenly appeared. The thunder and lightning continued to fall in the sky, densely like raindrops. The roar of thunder and lightning shook the air, and the sound of rumbling reverberated through the world. From time to time, ancient trees are broken and collapsed. The earth also seemed to tremble under this heavenly might. Boom, boom. The deafening thunder sounded like the accompaniment of heaven and earth, congratulating the birth of the god of thunder and lightning. The thunder giant was furious, and electricity danced above him. His muscles were bulging, a big belly was raised high, his body was huge, his legs were thin, and Milo's appearance could be vaguely seen on his face. In the fight with Luffy, Milo went from being leisurely at the beginning, to the seriousness of Luffy's change of breath, to the irritability of Luffy's continuous improvement, which he hadn't won for a long time, and finally, when he didn't know his life or death, he was completely furious. He just wanted to use the strongest power to smash Luffy like a smash, and then rush to check the situation of the fire. Terrifying power gathered in Milo's body. At this time, he was more terrifying than Lei Ying. At first glance, it has a very visual impact. It seems that in the whole world, only this terrifying giant is left. Even Enel felt mortal danger. Among the dancing thunder dragons, in the face of such a huge thunder god, Luffy's expression remained unchanged. There was no fear or panic, and there was only perseverance and determination to move forward. He pulled away, clenched his fists with both hands, one after the other. Under the mighty power of thunder, turned into scorched earth. Milo roared. He was thunder, and his voice was like thunder, spreading throughout EPUB. Even Angel Island in the distance seemed to be able to faintly hear the loud noise. He looked at Luffy. His eyes were as cold as ice, and he seemed to be spitting out flames. At this moment, there was only brutal killing intent in his eyes. I'm the man who wants to become the Pirate King. Let me fall to the altar. Luffy kicked his legs on the ground and rushed towards Milo's fist that turned into lightning. What Luffy has is the heart of a king. The giant and the small figure met in the air, the thunder retreated, and Luffy was like a rock standing still in the river. Under the strong voltage, Luffy's whole body became hot, the blood flowed rapidly throughout the body, and the blood vessels swelled inconceivably. His body turned red and steamed, as if it was cooked. Damn it, this is the second year. Enel looked at Luffy's state in shock. Is he really worthy of being Luffy, a man with the wealth of a king? Rubber machine gun. Luffy didn't notice any abnormality in his body, he just wanted to defeat Milo at this time. His body became lighter, and he seemed to have inexhaustible strength. The punches are faster and more powerful. The first punch hit Milo in the head, making him dizzy. Then the punches all landed on his face. Bang 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 bang. Give me down. Rubber spiral bullet. Luffy's arms stretched back, twisted constantly, and hit Milo's chest. His chest was sunken, and blood poured out of his mouth. Boom. A wave of air dissipated, and Milo fell like a cannonball. Below him is a river of clouds. The wind whistled in his ears, and his consciousness gradually blurred. Suddenly, he entered a vast white place, and he was completely powerless. Milo continued to fall, unable to move. Enel looked at Luffy, who had collapsed from exhaustion, and his eyes were full of wonder. Milo is a long-range sniper with weak physical skills. When encountering Luffy, Raiden's huge attack power is useless. The combat power was suddenly reduced by 30%. In addition, because the fire business suddenly disappeared, his heart was in chaos, and his combat power was reduced by 20%. He also kept in mind the popular science that Enel gave him: the voltage is high enough, and anything can break down. Coupled with the mistakes in the battle, the combat power dropped by another 10%. He finally faced off against Luffy, showing less than 40% of his strength. But even Milo, who is 40% strong, should not be weaker than Luffy. But he was beaten almost to the point of unconsciousness. What the hell happened? Milo was really defeated. Enel stared blankly at the place where Milo fell, still in disbelief. Woo-hoo-hoo. The wind blew past his ears, and Milo gradually regained consciousness. Below is the White Sea, and he has fallen out of the White Sea. Boom. His arm turned into lightning, pierced through the Babyhai, and a temporary passage appeared. Huh. He returned to the sky in EPUB with a gloomy expression. His physique is not weak, this wave can't take him away, it's just a serious injury. Straw Hat Boy. Seeing Milo, Luffy stumbled to his feet while dragging his tired body. I can't just fall down like this. Stand up, stand up. I am responsible for my partner's life. Everyone trusts me, and I cannot betray that trust. How can you fall here? He was so tired that he could barely open his eyes, but a strong will supported him and kept him fighting. Milo had regained his composure, and he also realized that his state just now was abnormal. It's not that the Straw Hat is getting stronger, it's that he is getting weaker. Something seemed to be affecting him, making him impulsive and error-prone. The tyranny in his eyes disappeared, and he regained his clarity. Seeing that the color returned to its normal level, the herring's cry for help appeared in his ears. Miro, help. Huo fainted. They were held hostage by them. Luffy no more chance of winning. The wind a bit noisy. The rhythm of life is looming. A huge life force was gone in a flash. Enel looked north with a solemn expression. Chapter 314 Howling Wind. You're amazing. Can you tell me what that power that affects the world is? Milo asked, his voice low and magnetic. Luffy was confused and wanted to speak, but he felt as if his body had been filled with cement, and he couldn't speak at all, just gasping for breath. Tiredness wears down his will all the time, like a road roller pressing on freshly laid asphalt. In this labor, his spirit is constantly staring, becoming more tenacious. What power? He finally answered intermittently. Luffy didn't even know what he was doing. He only knew that he had suddenly become very powerful just now, and then knocked over Milo with a random punch. Since Milo didn't attack right away, Luffy was also happy to chat with him and hurry up to recover his stamina. He understood that his odds were really low, very low, almost zero. In the face of this overwhelming force, no amount of willpower could bring him any hope of victory. Don't you know it yourself now? You are very strong. I am very contradictory now. You did not obey the laws of this country, and you tried to attack the shrine in vain. I should kill you, but I am curious. The kind of power you show, want to see where you can go. Milo tilted his head, thinking. It's still up to God, will I'll let you go if it's heads, or kill you if it's tails. Milo took out a coin. Throw up. Front. Well, I'm still a little unwilling, let's throw it again. Throw up, fall down. Front. One more time. Front. Milo stared at Luffy, his eyes narrowed slightly. You are very lucky 3 times are positive. It seems that God doesn't want you to die. If that's the case, then kill you. Huh. Milo was suddenly full of killing intent, and thunder light surged, dancing like a silver snake. Woo-hoo-hoo. The whistling sounded, and the airflow rushed. The wind is up. The hurricane raged, and the leaves fell off. The leaves in the wind were as sharp as knives, and thousands of sharp blades surrounded Enel, blocking his sight. Roads and ravines appeared on the ground, and the giant tree was cut off in the middle. The wind ripped apart the sky, and the brewing Lei Ying was shattered. The dark clouds dissipated, and the sun recasted the earth on Apayado. It was bright, and the sky was blank. The oppressive and gloomy atmosphere disappeared, and the power of Lei was expelled in the face of this natural disaster. The storm that swept it all shook the world. The sky was torn apart and the river of clouds dried up. Milo and Enel, with gloomy faces, looked north at the same time. There, a man in a dark green cloak looked at them. Their sight was blocked by the storm that blew up countless debris, and they didn't really meet. But both parties knew of each other's existence. They seemed to be standing like sculptures at the end of time and space, facing each other. The storm started, and Luffy was overwhelmed and finally fainted. The gust of wind rolled up Luffy, Zoro, and Robin, like a large flexible hand, blowing towards the Mary. Wow, what is this? Nami pulled the railing, her hair flying. Usopp clutched at the cable dangling from the sail, blown by the wind, 180 degrees parallel to the ground. They couldn't open their eyes in the wind. The stream of fire bound by the 5 flowers made a muffled sound, rolled up into the sky, and then fell in the direction of the herring. Wow, hoo-oh, Herring hurriedly caught the fire in the corner. She blushed and exerted her strength to suckle, and finally Anne dragged her ashore. Aha, hoo-oh, you are so heavy. It's time to lose weight. For a normal woman, this is heartbreaking. But Luhuo is obviously not in this list. Her heart is not fluctuating, and she even wants to beat the herring. At this time, Herring and a pair of demons were grabbing her chest. Luhuo fought back and pressed her under him with the momentum of Taishan pressing the top. Although she was bound, she was still able to deal with a scum with less than 5 combat power. Huo, forgive me, I'll elope with you. The other 2 battlefields were also divided by strong winds, and the fighting stopped. The wind stopped. Nami looked around and saw the vast ocean. The waves are up and down, and the seabirds are flying. The blue sea is as beautiful as a gem. What's going on? This is the sea. She looked at the surrounding scenery in shock and exclaimed, "Where is this place? Are we back in Qinghai? How is it possible? What happened to that strange wind just now? It's really inexplicable." Sanji looked at the sky with a thoughtful expression on his face. "Oops, Luffy and the others are still in the sky," Usopp shouted while covering his head. "Ah. Not good, they still have to face the god of the sky and there is no way to escape. Rest in peace, we didn't mean to abandon you. Don't come to me if you have any grievances." Usopp took out an incense burner out of nowhere and lit 4 incense sticks. "Luffy, Zoro, Robin." Chopper let out a mournful cry, looking at the scarred Luffy on the deck, as well as Zoro and Robin, who were as black as charcoal and smelled of scorch. "Doctor, call a doctor." It turned around in a hurry. "Chopper, aren't you a doctor? Calm down. It's up to you now." Nami slapped it on the head. Chopper gave them some emergency treatment and let out a long sigh. Fortunately, there is no danger of life, but Luffy is seriously injured. And his vitality is overdrawn, which may shorten his lifespan. A worried look appeared on Chopper's face. "It's fortunate to be able to survive that mighty power. I feel heart palpitations from such a long distance." Sanji recalled the thunder that filled the sky. His tone was heavy. "We seem to underestimate the Great Waterway. Such monsters appear one after another. Those thunder and lightning, and that gust of wind should be 2 people." Usopp thought with his chin raised. "We seem to be saved by the wind in Rogue Town. It seems to be the case, right?" Sanji lit a cigarette. Nami reacted, "You mean someone is protecting us? How is that possible? Who among us knows such a strong person?" "I'm just guessing. Let's talk about what happened when the 3 of them wake up." "What happened to them?" Sanji looked at the sea and clenched his fists tightly. The sound of Appaiato's battle stopped, the light dispelled the darkness, and the whole island seemed ethereal. After the thunder and lightning raged, the air was extraordinarily fresh. It lifts the spirits. The sky seemed to be at peace again. Herring struggled to climb out from under Luhuo, and when she saw the bloody appearance behind her, tears welled up. It is impossible to be able to activate the ability in such a wide range, and it is impossible to be precise and accurate. Behind the fire, a branch blown by the wind slashed, and a deep wound was full of blood. Huahuo, don't die. Woohoo, it's all to protect me. Whoa, Herring was moved to tears. We really fell in love with each other. Let's run away sometime. Luhuo's face was a little pale, and when he heard Herring's words, he suddenly turned black. Fuck you, stupid fish, take me to the doctor quickly, Luhuo said in a bad tone. Oh, Herring nodded blankly, but Huo is so heavy, I can't move you. Luhuo was almost furious. You won't help me untie the rope. I'll go by myself. Chapter 315 Monkey D. Dorag. The Shandians and the divine soldiers were more or less injured in the wind. There was silence for a while. But greater terror and depression are brewing. The atmosphere was solemn among the 3 of them. Suddenly, he moved. Anal and Milo's pupils shrank. The man was running towards them at a very high speed. Soon came to them. Although not as fast as Milo's thunder speed, it was faster than Enel's flight speed. The whirlwind wrapped around him and quietly suspended in front of the 2 of them. He is like the god of wind in mythology, mysterious and majestic. The dark green cloak swayed in the wind. Enel couldn't see his face, only the grid-like red lines and the smile on the corner of his mouth. Hum, here comes a big man. The world government has been looking for you, but I didn't expect it to appear here. Monkey D. Drago. Anal showed a trace of fear. The quality of Dorag's life force has reached the level of a general, stronger than him. Counting fighting skills such as taijutsu, Enel knew that he was no match for him at all. And with ghostly speed, Drago may have the ability to kill him. Compared to Cap Whitebeard and the others, Anal was more afraid of this elusive revolutionary army leader. Milo looked solemn. You know him? They heard a little. It's the first time I've seen a real person. Anal replied. I've always wanted to see you, Black Coffin Anal. The deep male voice was a little hoarse. Dorag is here for 2 reasons. First, he received information that Enel got into Luffy's pirate ship. For his son, he adopts a stalking policy, but he will not be indifferent. Enel was well known in the black market and was an extremely dangerous figure in the materials of the Revolutionary Army. Of course Drago would not be relieved. The second is that he wanted to take this opportunity to contact Enel. As the leader of the Revolutionary Army, Drago will not affect the overall situation because of his personal feelings. However, the contact with Enel was also a very important, official business, for their Revolutionary Army. As the number 2 figure in the underground world, Enel holds the right to speak to a large number of weapons sales channels. Revolution is a kind of armed struggle. Without weapons, what a ghost. Wash and sleep. Although pirates are a high-level martial world, weapons are very important for grassroots combat power. Not everyone can cut a cannonball with a knife. Enel and the Revolutionary Army have always cooperated. He knew that the Revolutionary Army had always purchased weapons through his channels, and had never restricted it, but strongly supported it. The world government is the largest military group at present, so let the Revolutionary Army test the waters. The Revolutionary Army also sensed the goodwill revealed by Enel, and once sent cadres to discuss with him. But he was beaten by Enel and threw Verslow out. They haven't really been in touch since then, just failed in some tacit deals. Enel did not reject the Revolutionary Army, but the cadre they sent at that time was Ivankov. This is a time to look at the face, and the honor alone makes Enel do not want to talk about it. Anyway, his secret support for the Revolutionary Army was just an idle move, and there was nothing to worry about if they broke up. But now, the forces of the Revolutionary Army are growing day by day, and they are about to come to the surface from behind. The demand for weapons is even greater, and some ordinary weapons can no longer satisfy their appetite. They need weapons of mass destruction. Enel's attitude has always been vague, and he has never opened up the supply of powerful weapons. This is of course, he hopes that the Revolutionary Army will be strong and contain the power of the world government, but he also does not want them to be too strong and attack themselves. This was his unanimous decision after consulting with Doflamingo. In many cases, the interests of Enel and Mingo are the same. Brother Ming needs to take advantage of the situation to develop his power, while Enel needs to collect resources and improve his power in the overall stability. I've always wanted to see me. I'm afraid to be so worried about the world's most vicious criminal. Is there something wrong? Enel asked. Maybe we can discuss and carry out more in-depth cooperation. Dorag went straight to the point. I don't remember having cooperation with you. I am the king of the countries that joined the world government, and I am incompatible with your Revolutionary Army. Enel looked righteous. You are different from others. I can feel that you are unwilling to be lonely, your impulses and desires. It is better to say that you are a pirate than a nobleman. No, that's not right. You are more like a beast that covets the world, you are just hunting. The lion will try to get as close to the target as possible before hunting without showing killing intent, lurking and hiding. And you are such a lion hunting. It's not time to rise up and hunt for food. An overly powerful prey or other beasts will affect your hunting and even threaten you. The world government is the beast you are most afraid of. We can cooperate. Cooperation. Is this your attitude of cooperation? Enel no longer pretended. Since the other party has made it clear, he doesn't mind talking about it seriously. Of course, the feelings of partners should also be considered before negotiating. You got in the way of us. Enel stared at Drago, his eyes flashing with murderous intent. Those pirates are the enemies of my partners. Although I didn't take action against them due to my relationship with them. But I don't allow others to interfere with my partner. Milo, do you still want to kill them? If you want, I'll help you hold this guy down, Enel said. Before we talk, let's get this out of the way. Partners and business, of course, partners are more important. Although Drago is strong, Enel is not without resistance now. Teaming up with Milo can completely beat him to shame. No, forget it. That Straw Hat Boy is still too weak. This guy in front of him is more important. Milo shook his head. He was not so serious about the Straw Hat. A guy with this kind of strength is involved in Enel, and it is very important at first glance. Milo would not recklessly provoke such a powerful enemy just because he was unhappy for a while. Enel, Milo, and Huang will not give in to reason except on some principled issues, and they are quite restrained in the rest of the little things. No matter how angry you are, there is still room for relaxation. Hey, then tell me, how can we cooperate? What do you need? What can you give me? Enel's eyes never left Drago. You must know that I am a king, although I am not very care about the status of this king, but it saves me a lot of trouble. So if you can't show the interests that make my heart move, I won't give up this layer of protection. Enel said slowly. Chapter 361 Inexplicable Power. Drago was silent, thinking about the chips he had. Enel is not like a person with dreams and righteousness in his heart, and some are just the pursuit of interests. And when he said the word benefit, he was not greedy, as if he wanted to add ice cream after lunch. The feeling he gave to Drago was contradictory, both indifferent and ambitious, cautious and daring. The pursuit of profit, but there is no trace of greed in his eyes. Money, this kind of thing is not necessary no matter how the other party sees it. On the contrary, the Revolutionary Army is even more short of funds. We need weapons, a larger number of weapons, and the scale of the market can no longer satisfy us. More, stronger, more advanced, Drago said his needs. Einil is not a professional, but by handing some data to Brother Ming, he can roughly estimate the strength of the Revolutionary Army, as well as the future dynamics, whether it will continue to lurk or rise up. I need devil fruits, in exchange for devil fruits, said Enel. Drago shook his head. No, devil fruit is a strategic material that our backbone needs. Then there doesn't seem to be anything to talk about. It's not a good thing for me that you are too powerful. If you trade devil fruits for weapons, I can give a discount. Enel sat crossed on the branch. Your goal is this world. With such a vast area, it is doomed that you cannot rely on high-end power. The grassroots are what you rely on, and a large number of weapons can better exert your grassroots strength. And ordinary the weapons that can be exchanged for devil fruit can play a greater role for you than this devil fruit. Quote. We need the most advanced weapons, the guns need to be fired in bursts, and the range and accuracy must be comparable to the equipment of the Navy. There are also light mortars, and the latest warships. Dorag frowned and thought for a moment. Still decided to agree to Enel's request. Yes, I will immediately notify the weapons channels that I can influence, which will be fully open to you. But you also have to deliver me 10 devil fruits as a deposit for future cooperation. After all, the risk is not small, and you will be caught by the world if you are not careful. The government removes the names from the member states. Quote. In fact, after the appearance of the dark fruit, Enel didn't care much about Shichibukai and the identity of the king. Once he defeats Tiki's ability to win the dark fruit, he will start to free himself. The careful and low-key development for more than 10 years has almost made him suffocated. He's a restless guy at heart. Reckless behavior is the correct posture for pirates. Although Enel never said that his pursuit was to be a pirate, his approach was undoubtedly the style of a pirate. 10 the deal. You also have to prepare weapons as soon as possible. You don't have to worry about this, we have a lot of arsenals, and you can supply weapons with enough production. Enel smiled. There is no need to shake hands when shaking hands. How can two people who are jealous of each other shake hands in a friendly way? You can't get close to within 20 meters. Agnel came to his ship with Milo, and the proverbs were large. I don't know how many times more imposing than Enel's small broken ship. Liu Huo, what's the matter with you? You were actually defeated by the Straw Hats. I didn't hear any troublesome voices from your side. Milo asked, with a hint of concern in his voice. It's okay, it's just too careless. She glanced at the herring. The latter covered his eyes and hid in the corner, shivering. By the way, Milo, the mechanical soldiers lost 126 and need to be replenished. Liu Huo said. Oh, I see, Milo said nonchalantly. As long as the mechanical soldier has the raw materials and power, it can be self-manufactured. They are fed into the program how to make the same kind. So Milo, a guy with zero technology value, is not worried about their damage at all. Enel sat in a chair, turning over the law of the sky. He's also a king and is curious about how Milo ran the country. Looking at the code, the punishment method is simply irritating. Alinon death penalty, and such an operation. Hey Milo, how did you get the law? It's more brutal than me. Milo scratched his head. It's none of my business, and I didn't make it. Dashan with a bandage on his head stood up. Master God, this law was formulated by Master Liuhuo, but she said that the punishment in it was changed by you personally. What's the matter? Milo was stunned. I know. Herring held up her little hand and twitched her tail. While Huo was writing the law for Milo to read, he was sleeping. Milo didn't even look at it, talking about such trivial things. Don't bother him, just kill them all. Milo. Enel. After some gags, Herring left to find Lu Huo. Milo asked softly, do you know that power? The last power that the Straw Hat Kid used. Enel raised his eyebrows. You mean he was red and steaming? No, although this technique can double the combat power in a short period of time, it obviously has a big flaw. What I care more about is another invisible power. If it weren't for that kind of power, he would not can't touch me at all. Milo lit a cigar. Neil shook his head. I don't know, I had a similar feeling when I was fighting against others before. But the Straw Hat's interference is obviously stronger. I didn't really face the Straw Hat. When you were fighting him, what exactly did you have? How do you feel? It's strange, as if a week of bad luck has been put on that moment. But the opponent is very lucky. Playing against him is really like fighting against the world. The cigar burned slowly, and the rich smoke lingered. In the beginning, the Straw Hat Boy was very weak, so that he could completely abuse both hands. But after the change of breath, he made rapid progress, but I was a little backward. The reaction became a little slower, and the mobilization of thunder and lightning was not so flexible. He made a lot of mistakes in battle, and was extremely impulsive and irritable. Quote, after the fire breath disappears, under normal circumstances, I shouldn't be so anxious that even the sight, hearing and color are disturbed. At that time, as long as I listen for a while, I can get the news from the herring. Enel thought of Doflamingo and Mariah for no reason. It's a question of whether that kind of power exists, maybe it's our delusion. It's useless to think too much now, I can't get it anyway. Here comes the result. Enel hates mint-blowing things. Milo smiled and said, that's right, but you seem to have been tricked by one thing. This rubber can't penetrate. Neil was stunned. You are stupid. Devil fruits can't be inferred by common sense. Chapter 362 Milo and Huang. In the sky, the sun hangs high and the sea breeze blows. There are no clouds in sight. A thunderlight exploded on a sunny day. Disperse soon. Milo complained. Liuhuo, can this power storage capacity be improved? It's very troublesome to keep charging me. Liuhuo glanced at his mouth. Aren't you satisfied that you only charge it once every 3 days? This is the optimal solution. The boat should not only consider performance, but also comfort. If the battery is expanded, it will compress the living space. There is a fish pond in Proverbs, and there are a few sharks in it. Woo-ah-ah-ah, Herring screamed. What's wrong? It's noisy. Milo bit his toothbrush. My empty sharks are all dead. Herring burst into tears. Oh, it must be that I can't adapt to the changes in air pressure. I'll eat sharks for lunch today. Lu Huo scratched his ears. Trash fire, shut up. They are my friends and should be buried well. It's a good burial. Do you want to burn fish into the land? There is an idea. Human beings have the customs of sea burial, now you give the fish to the burial, Azier laughed. No, of course I want them to go back to the sea, Herring exhaled. Anyway, if you throw it into the sea, you will still be eaten by other fish, so leave it to me. Darkness emerged from Anal, and then engulfed all the dead empty sharks. Liberation. The powder drifted away, shimmering in the sunlight. It's so beautiful. Herring immediately turned from cloudy to sunny, and her expression became fast. Anil and Milo left the Sky Island with the motto, and they followed the instructions of the life card and went to find Akutagawa. It's been a week since the flight. Where did that golden retriever go? Isn't it escaping the Great Root? Milo washed his face and held up a glass of hot milk. The maids of the shrine were all dismissed by him, and there is no need to drag on the sea. I don't know, it depends on where Ski is. When I parted with him, he said he was going to look for Ski. Enel snatched the freshly peeled apple from the herring. Made her scream. Shiki, that old man, the account of the year has not been settled with him. Milo's mouth was slightly raised, and he wanted to have a fight with the golden lion now. When I saw him for the first time, if Anil hadn't blocked the sword, Milo's grave would have been covered with green grass. Milo didn't have the slightest liking for Sky. Instead, there is hatred. Forget it, that guy Huang seems to respect Shiji very much. After all, he has received a lot of care from Shiji in swordsmanship. I am also very grateful to him for bringing me such a good partner. Neil bit the apple. Huang, I also really want to have a fight with him. That sissy, I don't know what's going on now. Milo had a thunderous fruit, and it swelled a little. His relationship with Huang can't be said to be very good. After all, Siam was at war with his country back then. Huang won't betray, right? Is he still our partner? Milo raised his brows, a little suspicious. Ahahaha, don't talk about this kind of thing. We need to trust our partners. He respects Sai, and it doesn't conflict with being our partner. Anil laughed. When the time comes, let me fight him. And that bastard Shiki, fighting with Huang is to fight for the right to speak on the boat. The dead are silent, the losers are silent. Power is order. If he wants to fight with Shiji, that is because he never forgets the hatred of the sword that year. The humiliation at that time, the fear and unwillingness at that time, are still etched in his heart. Milo was humble and proud. The time of wandering in the past had engraved humility in the deepest part of his heart. And the power of the thunder fruit brought him the arrogance of being high in the clouds. Repaying kindness, repaying revenge. His humble heart is particularly sensitive, and he will always remember light and warmth in his heart. All malice and insults will also be engraved in his bones. Enel was the only light in the cold, dark time after Milo lost Philomena. That's why he stubbornly waited in the sky for 17 years. Enel is just an ordinary person, and as a traveler, he has a natural defense against anyone in an unfamiliar environment. Seeing Milo so cherished his friendship with him, there was a faint sense of guilt in his heart. Huang, he is very strong. I don't think he is weaker than you, and I can't guarantee that I can win. Now, the three of us, no, the four of us, the strength is estimated to be 1/2 pound and a half. Neil said. Huh, the four of us, you mean that cat? It's that strong. Milo looked like I didn't read much, so don't lie to me. In his mind, Carter is a fat cat who is lazy and timid. You said that Huang has such strength, I believe, but that cat. Enel rolled his eyes. Have you beaten it? I remember you were the one who was bullied by it. Milo. I found it. Huang is right in front. If you want, go say hello. Enel suddenly looked towards the direction of the ship. What a sharp voice, it's almost like the tip of a knife is unsheathed. Milo stood up, lightning flashed, and his eyes were full of fighting intent. God's judgment. A huge thunderbolt shot into the distance. On a deserted island, Akutagawa is sitting in meditation with his eyes closed. The breath of the wind, the breath of the sea, the breath of the sky, the breath of the earth, everything is so clear. Hum. The 7-star sword in his hand sang happily. After a few days of getting along, it also understands Huang's style, that is, it likes this kind of owner. Never limit its edge, never stop it from drinking blood. Pay homage with dead souls and resentment, dance with killing and blood. The only bad thing is that this master is too strong, it is very free. Suddenly, a dangerous breath came from the sky. Akutagawa Huang opened his eyes and drew his sword. He waved up without hesitation. He wasn't concerned about what was on top of his head, nor was he interested in knowing. Whatever it is, anything that is hostile will be cut with one sword. The huge thunder collided with the sharp blade. The thunder pillars were arranged on both sides, hitting the ground, making a deafening sound. Akutagawa Huang was unscathed, and his white kimono was not stained with any dust. Thunder. Who is it? There was no one in his sight. Huang mainly cultivates armed color, and in the range of seeing and hearing color, it is of course far away from the two special types that combine fruit, anal and Milo. Ha! A blue-white light shone, converging into an adult form, floating in front of Akutagawa Huang. Green hair, a gentleman's hat, a black trench coat, and two pistols, one black and one white, at his waist. Who are you? Akutagawa Huang's eyes were sharp, like a drawn sword. He could feel that this person was not easy to mess with. Chapter 318 Lion's First Move. Akutagawa stood on the earth-gray sandstone, his long hair flying. He had been standing in that position for a long time. Milo in front of him also quietly looked at the beautiful man in front of him, lonely, poignant, and with the sadness of cherry blossoms falling. He came with fighting spirit, guns and thunder, but all the high and fiery emotions dissipated at this time. All that is left is the coldness that is as cold as a Jungnan miner. Milo just wanted to talk about how the fuck you, a man, could grow up like this. Akutagawa Huang infected the surrounding atmosphere into a theater, and he was the one who sang on the stage. The thunder light shone on his pale face, and his lips were a strange red. He is smiling, smiling. The corners of the mouth raised upwards, the water in the phoenix eyes flowed, and the charm was crowded. The seven-star sword let out a clear cry, and the blood-red color shrouded it. The killing intent came like a gust of wind, and he was like a sharp blade inserted in front of the general's tomb, with souls and blood lingering. Hard-edged. With a sudden change in the style of painting, the actors on the stage suddenly turned into evil ghosts who demanded their lives. Ahahaha, that's right. Huang, let's fight. Milo burst out laughing. You know me. Akutagawa Huang was a little puzzled. It's me, Milo emphasized. Akutagawa Huang dragged his smooth and white chin with his soft and boneless left hand, showing a thoughtful expression. And then hesitantly said, You are. Yes, it's me. Don't underestimate me, I've transformed. Milo was full of confidence. Akutagawa Huang was a little confused. He wanted to say, Who are you? But the other party was so self-sufficient that he couldn't bear to say that he had no impression of him at all, and it was estimated that he was just a passerby in his memory. The sluggish Akutagawa Huang is a bit cute. Click, click, click. Rotor whistling, mechanical friction. Proverbs also came over them. Hey, what are you two doing? Enno watched them from a distance for a long time. He saw Milo charge aggressively, then stare at each other, standing still. I feel that Akutagawa Huang is really an enchanting stunner, and Milo guesses that he is addicted to his beauty and cannot extricate himself. Miro. Akutagawa Huang suddenly recalled a short dirty man, and then compared the person in front of him. His face was a bit similar, and his head was green. Never found any difference. Milo in his mind was a timid dwarf. There is a world of difference from the confident, high-spirited powerhouse in front of him. Huang was 1.9 meters tall, Anal was 2 meters long, but Milo successfully counterattacked and grew to 2.5 meters. The tallest Huang became the shortest one. Ahahaha finally got together again, and when Carter is called again, our team is complete again. Anal looked very happy. Akutagawa took the 7-star sword back to its scabbard. Wow, such a beautiful big sister. Herring leaned forward stupidly. Let's call the upper-class fire to elope. Milo's face darkened, and he eloped on the run. Akutagawa Huang's face is even darker. Who is the big sister? Glancing at her coldly, the herring fell into an ice cellar and hid behind Milo with a wow. Didn't you go to ski? Enno grabbed a crab that was slowly crawling by. I can't catch up, Bermiu is flying too fast. In order not to reveal his position, Shiki moves around the world erratically. It is estimated that he can only be found after his summoning order is actually issued. Akutagawa Huang felt a little helpless. The old man Shiki isn't dead yet. The old man is good at basking in the sun and drinking tea to support him. Milo snorted coldly, quite tit for tat. Mr. Skihi won't be content with being plain. The heart of a lion is always keen on power and conquest. Dying on the way to battle is the best destination for him. Akutagawa sighed faintly. I've taken care of him a lot and I'll go and help him. He and Milo looked at each other, and when their eyes met, sparks burst out. The smell of gunpowder filled the air, and it seemed like a fight could break out at any moment. If you want to fight, find a good time. It's an eventful time, try your best to stay in shape. Blackbeard, Whitebeard, Golden Lion, Kaido are all about to move. There are also rising supernovas such as Straw Hat Luffy. This sea, it won't last long. Ano put the struggling crab down and watched it crawling towards the sea, swept away by a wave. The sky in the distance was covered with dark clouds, and the wind and thunder began to move. The wind picked up, and the waves were choppy. The stray fire brought the proverbs down to the island, and the weather was unsuitable for air navigation. The Navy headquarters, Sengoku sits in the office, and the white walls make the whole room look more empty. On the wall behind his seat, there is a painting and calligraphy hanging. The capitalized Justice Black is eye-catching. After the approval of the documents, the Warring States period was rarely free. After running for a cup of tea, holding the teacup in hand, sniffing the fragrance of the teacup along with the heat, there was a pleasant look on his face. Slid. She took a sip and the wrinkles on her face softened. Report, a herald entered the office. There are urgent documents. He put a document sealed with flame paint on the table, gave a military salute and backed out. Urgent documents, alas, I'm really busy. Warring States picked up the document unhurriedly, opened it and read it carefully. A small island in the East China Sea suddenly disappeared, and some people witnessed the flying island and the pirate ship flying in the sky. It is suspected, the beginning of the Warring States period became solemn. Golden Lion Shiki. PFFT. He spit out a sip of water directly, and after finally having a free day, he came to such a thing. The marshal is really bad. Cap, just call Carp for me. Warring States shouted loudly. Report, Lieutenant General Garp is on vacation in the East China Sea. Warring States. He hurriedly called Carp. Hello Carp. Ah, it's me, Sengoku, don't come to me if you have anything, I'm trying to break the record of eating donuts in a row. Carp's voice was a little vague, as if something was stuck in his mouth. Don't eat, there's a big deal. Warring States roared. In exchange, Carp's indifferent eyes were vividly displayed on the phone bug. What's the matter? Newgate attacked Marineford more often. Garp was lying on the recliner with Erlang's legs crossed. It's not Newgate, it's that ski guy reappearing. What? Ski? Carp was startled, and his face became serious. They came from the same era as Ski, and knew the man like a lion. Unruly, ambitious, more dangerous and unstable than Whitebeard. Well, that guy has appeared again. After so many years, there must be a lot of conspiracy brewing. If you leave it alone, I am afraid it will cause a catastrophe. Warring States narrowed his eyes. He has appeared in the East China Sea, you should pay attention to safety. I see. Carp hung up the bug and looked up at the sky. Chapter 319 Justice Island Incident. I'm in such a leisurely and comfortable weather, it's really nice to have a cup of fragrant coffee after breakfast. Ano held the cup, closed his eyes and sniffed the aroma rising with the heat, with a look of enjoyment on his face. He was wearing a colorful t-shirt and dragging slippers. A parasol shrouded him, and next to the lounge chair was a small white table. Ah, so boring. I knew that I had brought a few maids here. Milo felt a little regretful. Aren't you on fire? Enel took a sip of coffee. Fire. The chest is too small to feel anything. Milo lit the cigar. I know that Milo has a heart but no courage, and blushes when he encounters a fire. Herring lay on the umbrella of the sunshade. Blush, honey, blush. Enel imagined the scene. Milo's forehead bulged with blue veins, thinking that you will die if you don't complain. By the way, how can there be a mermaid on the empty island? Enel suddenly asked. You mean herring. It was washed up by the upwelling current, and I happened to pick it up. Milo held the cigar between his index and middle fingers, and a circle of smoke slowly rose from his mouth. Really look at the prison then. Carter likes to eat fish. Enel reminded. Fish is a merman a fish. Milo wondered. Probably. Milo. Boom. An explosion came from behind. What's the matter? Enemy attack. Enel was still lying lazily, he didn't feel any danger. No, it's probably the explosion of the stray fire experiment. Milo was quite calm. Herring also lay on the umbrella unmoved, they were used to it. Sure enough, a platoon of mechanical soldiers moved quickly, removing trash, repairing cabins, and carrying new experimental materials. Akutagawa sat quietly on the observation deck at the top of the mast. Although proverbs usually fly in the air, they occasionally fall into the sea to navigate, so the observation deck is still equipped. He moved his nose and woke up from Zen. You're green, your cigar smells really bad. Huh, you can smell it so far. You're a dog, right? It's weird. They didn't have a fight, they simply fought a few tricks, and there was no winner or loser. Because Akutagawa Huang's tricks always have the word, Sakura, in front of their names, Milo called him weird. Who do you think is a jerk? What about you? Who told you that Sakura is endless? You are courting death. Sakura Chikiri. Akutagawa Huang's shot was a big move, a huge slash that spanned dozens of meters towards Milo. God punishment. Thunder roared, lightning flashed. Boom. The violent impact pushed the air, and the proverbs were pushed aside by the enormous force. Wow! Herring screamed, fell from the parasol, and was grabbed by Enel. Hey, it's here again. Enel was helpless. I didn't even get popcorn to watch other people fight. Bad review. The sword chi is vertical and horizontal, and the thunder roars. Akutagawa, who has been in the New World for more than 10 years, of course knows such little tricks as moon steps. And Milo itself is a thunder, can hover in one place for a short time, and flash to a higher sky with thunder speed. Not afraid of air combat. Enel picked up the ringing phone bug amid the explosion. It's me, Enel. Boss, I'm in trouble here. There was a female voice on the opposite side, a little hurried. Huh, Anastasia, what's the matter? Enel's eyes became sharp. Anastasia suffered setbacks in the New World and was pursued by the Navy, so she took refuge with Enel 6 years ago. Sent by Enel to assist Iceberg, and as a member of his intelligence system. He said that if there is nothing important, don't contact him directly, so as not to be exposed. Now she is directly contacting the phone bug, indicating that something serious must have happened. The Straw Hat Gang took your credentials and extracted 300 million Baileys from Carrera Shipbuilding Company. Enel left a note with his special imprint before separating from the Straw Hats. You can go to the Carrera shipyard to get 300 million Baileys. Oh, Enel nodded, this was all in his expectation, nothing to make a fuss about. The Straw Hats attacked Judiciary Island in order to save you, Robin. That guy is still so daring, ha 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 ha, isn't it normal for Luffy to attack Judicial Island? So did he beat Lucci? Lucci was taught a few times by me more than 10 years ago, but I heard that he was training himself like crazy. Ah, Anastasia was a little puzzled by Enel's attitude. Is it really okay to be so calm that Judicial Island, one of the 3 major institutions of the world government, was attacked by a newcomer? Although there were some doubts, he answered truthfully, we lost the battle, and Straw Hat Luffy was defeated. But the Judiciary Island was destroyed. Caroline launched the demon-slaying order, and Lord Carter sank 3 warships and wounded 2 lieutenant generals. Then he was repelled by General Aokiji. Enel looked dazed and did not respond for a while. It's a bit of a lot of information. Attacking Judicial Island, what are you doing, Carter? He also injured 2 lieutenant generals and fought against Aokiji. What the hell is Caroline? Shouldn't it be the idiot Spandam who launched the demon-slaying order? Is it because of his own reasons that Spandam was dismissed and replaced by this guy named Caroline? Enel always found the name somewhat familiar. Caroline, the unreliable temporary navigator, has long been forgotten by him. He felt a big headache. This trajectory is so deviated. Carter was his buddy, which was already on the record with the government. Now it's attacking Judiciary Island, which the world government might mistake for its own writing. And this matter should involve Hades, so Chiwahai's seat may not be guaranteed. He was not too worried about Carter's safety. The survivability of the goods was comparable to that of Enel. Even if the 3 generals went into battle, they might not be able to catch it. What's going on? Enel rubbed his eyebrows. I don't know either, just a rough idea. I can't get in touch with Lord Carter. Can't get in touch with it. Enel's expression changed. Yes, but there should be no danger. The spy in the Navy said he saw Lord Carter escape with his own eyes. Enel relaxed. All the intelligence personnel in the water capital are dormant. I will rush over as soon as possible. Before I arrive, don't act rashly, and try to save yourselves. After hanging up the phone, Enel and Lu Huo said hello. Spread your wings and soar into the sky. There are many recording pointers on the boat, all of which recorded the magnetic force on the empty island, pointing to the water capital. Wow, dragon, so handsome, Herring exclaimed. Huh. Milo and Akutagawa stopped fighting at the same time as Enel turned into a giant dragon and hurried away. He looked suspiciously at the direction Enel flew to. What's he doing in such a hurry? Milo asked. Who knows? Akutagawa said. You two, are you finished? Get on the boat when you're finished, Enel said. Let's go to the water capital. Ryahuo looked at Milo and asked for his opinion. This ship belongs to Milo, and Milo is her boss. Although they knew that Enel was Milo's boss, their allegiance was Milo. Like the relationship between European lords, my vassals are not my vassals. The direction of Proverbs, direction rests with Milo. Milo nodded. Just do it. Chapter 320. Carter's heart is broken. Enel flew to the water capital, and as soon as he saw it, he found Carter's trace. At sunset, in the evening breeze. The sea is constantly washing the coast. Waste iron, rotten wood, plastic bottles, waste cardboard and other debris are piled up in a mess. Several collapsed houses were covered with moss. There are several large pits in the ground that are half buried by garbage. Overgrown with weeds. This is an abandoned pier where Enel and Luigi fought 10 years ago. It was already a wasteland at the time, and it is even more neglected now. Carter was lying on a rock, his head drooping, a look of twilight. There is no expression in his eyes, like an old dog in the sun, appreciating the last time of his life. From far away, Enel saw Carter's situation, and his heart tightened, and he was a little flustered. Carter is the last of his family. For 18 years, they have been together day and night, and they have a deep relationship with each other. What happened to Carter? Was it fatally wounded? What did the green pheasant do? The anger rose in my heart, and I wanted to destroy everything. Aokiji, Navy. If anything happens to Carter, you must be buried with you. The distance of several kilometers was only a few breaths away, and Enel came to Carter. Boom. He didn't even lose his speed and hit the ground directly. Like a meteorite falling from the sky, the spider web-like cracks spread around, the earth trembled, and the waves in the sea were a little rough. But Carter didn't move, didn't even bother to look at it, and still lay on the stone. Cat, what's wrong with you? What happened? What did Aokiji do? Enel asked anxiously, watching Carter at the same time. Except for a frostbite on his butt, he had no obvious wounds. Is it an internal injury? Hey Cat, don't scare me. After a while of panic, Enel calmed down and found that Carter seemed to be fine, and his vitality was very strong. Meow Enel, my heart hurts. Carter suddenly burst out. A bear hug hugged Enel hard, and the weight of several tons weighed on him, making him unable to breathe. Heartache. Heart hurt. I don't know if that guy Caesar has a solution. Looking at Carter's appearance, he can't die for a while. If Caesar can't do anything, go to Luo, it should be too late. Enel pondered the countermeasures. Mancheri. By the way, and Mancheri. As long as you don't die, there is still salvation. Enel suddenly thought of the little human princess that he had been hiding in the snow. Cat, calm down. Since your heart is injured, don't move around casually. We still have Man Shui Li, and you can still be saved. Enel reassured. Meow woo woo woo, my heart hurts. Carter hugged Enel tightly, not daring to let go, as if he was afraid of losing him. Tears and snot kept flowing. Enel felt something was wrong and asked, what happened? Rodeer doesn't love me anymore. Carter was very sad, and the cat's face was full of sadness. Enel. The original heartache refers to this heartache. Scare me. Thought you were going to hang up. It's me who wants to cry, but I've never even been in love. After Carter's messy narration, Enel finally figured out what happened. A few days ago, the Straw Hats came to the water capital, took the vouchers that Enel gave them, and went to the Carrera Company to withdraw 300 million Baileys. And Robin was captured by CP9 people like the original. The Straw Hats start a rescue operation. Granny Coco took them through the water god Akula Ragna in the Rocketman. The problem lies here. Enel has an intelligence base in the water capital. In addition to the iceberg, there is also a secret armed force, which is an espionage organization similar to CP9. The base of this organization is on the Rocketman. And Roy and Caroline were sleeping on the Straw Hats when they started Rocketman. So the two of them were taken to Judicial Island. Carter came back from foraging and found that the entire base was gone. Is this okay? So hurriedly launched a pursuit. Chased them to Judiciary Island. Roy is also capable of fighting. When he sees Chopper, who is similar in appearance to himself, he feels good in his heart. Join the action against CP9. The ignorant Caroline was also pulled into the chariot. Although she has no combat power at all, but relying on the phone bug fruit, it interferes with the communication of the entire Judicial Island. She noticed that there was a very strange signal on Judiciary Island, which was different from the phone bugs she had encountered before. Tried to communicate with it and successfully simulated that signal. Out of curiosity, she sent this signal out. The demon slaughtering order has been activated in advance. When Carter arrived, Lucci was hanging Luffy. The aftermath hurt Roy. It suddenly burst into anger, and brought down Lucci in 3 or 2. Then he fought with the Navy who came to execute the demon slaughter order. Carter, whose combat effectiveness was outstanding, sank 3 warships, pressing 5 lieutenant generals to fight. And seriously injured 2. Aokiji has actually been paying attention to the dynamics of the Straw Hats. Seeing this, I had to take action. The Judiciary Island is more under the control of the CP agency, and the decision-making and execution of the arrest of Nicole Robin all rely on the power of CP9. Screw it up and have nothing to do with their navy. Anyway, it's not good to see their espionage organization. The world government is not monolithic, and each group has its own will and interests. Aokiji even gloated a little when he saw that CP9 was devastated. But the demon-killing order is the deterrent force of the Navy. If it is defeated, the Navy's face will be disgraced. Although Qingzi also hates demon-slaying order, but as an admiral of the Navy, he can be self-willed in some small things, but he must have a correct attitude in the overall situation. Carter didn't fight Aokiji, his goal was just to meet Roy later. Obstructing the demon-slaying order was also to allow Roy on the Mary enough time to leave safely. After a delay, it retreated. When retreating, the swimming area was full, and the ice froze his buttocks and froze a few clumps of hair. Enel's eyes twitched. What's the matter with your heartache? Did the roe deer lose his love when he saw Chopper? Enel asked. Meow, that's it. I asked the roe deer to go shopping and it didn't go, but went to the Straw Hat. Carter cried. Enel thinks it seems it's not a big deal. Shouldn't that be an empathy? Is it because he has never talked about love and emotional intelligence is not enough? Then go ahead and kill Chopper, said Enel. No, if the roe deer really likes it, I will make the roe deer sad. No matter who the roe deer chooses in the end, I will wish her happiness. Carter's eyes had wet tears. The corners of Enel's mouth twitched. Yes. He can't handle this kind of thing. Love has to know how to let go. I can't see that Carter's ideological realm is quite high.